big Powerball prize since August 3rd, which means there have been 39 consecutive drawings where no one has matched all 6 numbers.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. There were 3 $2 million winners last night and $12 million winners. New unemployment claims down slightly at 217,000, says the Labor Department. The number of people still on unemployment continuing claims is up slightly. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
How the fight ended between them. Radar is clear, a little hazy though. 49 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:02. A man shot with another man with a crossbow in Anderson Wednesday. Well, police say that Frederick Clam and another man were having a heated argument when at some point of shooting the other man with that crossbow. The man is alive and will be okay, but Clam is in jail awaiting the charges that he'll be facing. The story that Republican candidate for Secretary of State Diego Morales sexually harassed a woman was concocted by his Democratic opponent. So says Morales.
Let me set the record straight. I am very disappointed and insulted by all of them, specifically by my Democrat opponent, peddling accusations from anonymous sources.
Talking with WIBC's Tony Katz Wednesday, he also denied that there was a debate among his fellow candidates, when there indeed was a debate. You may be able to know more about what investigators know when it comes to the Delphi murders before the end of the month. A hearing to determine whether the probable cause and charging documents associated with the arrest of Richard Allen should remain sealed has been set for November 22nd. A man in Fort Wayne was shot by a police officer Wednesday. Harrison Silcox reports.
Fort Wayne police say the suspect was armed. They responded to Poplar Street near downtown Fort Wayne Wednesday after a woman called 911 saying a man pulled a gun on her. Police found that man later and said he wasn't listening to any of their commands and pulled out a weapon. That's when an officer fired his gun, hitting the suspect. They're stable in the hospital, and the officer is on administrative leave while state police investigate what happened. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Purdue men's basketball coach Matt Painter on the Boilers exhibition win over Truman State. He says the team's defense still needs to figure itself out.
That's what we're really kind of concerned with is how can we beat quality people without just outscoring people.
As for their Hoosier counterparts in Bloomington, Indiana will have another exhibition matchup against St. Francis tonight at Assembly Hall. Traffic on the 5s, Paul Bowden loss.
5 northbound heavy between 86th and 865 with a crash in the right lane. East side 465 northbound heavy between 56th and Fall Creek from an earlier crash. This report is sponsored by Meijer. Shop holiday deals like buy one, get one, 50% off select toys from Barbie, Nerf, Hot Wheels, Disney Princess, Cocomelon, and more. Plus, get the same low Meijer prices no matter how you shop, in-store or online. I'm Paul Bodenloss with Traffic on the 5s. Follow us on Twitter at WIBC Traffic.
I need to turn off these news alerts. Interest rates climbing. Stocks are crashing.
Oh, I know. I stopped looking at my 401k too. Democrats in D.C. are killing the economy.
We need leaders who actually work for a living.
That's why I'm voting for an outsider, Julie McGuire.
Good point. Julie McGuire? She isn't a politician.
Julie McGuire is one of us, a common-sense conservative who understands the challenges families are facing, like inflation and education.
Yeah, and Julie's a wife, a mom, and an active member at St. Roch Church. She understands our community.
Did you know Julie is supported by first responders? McGuire's been endorsed by the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC.
Julie McGuire also backs our law enforcement officers. McGuire is endorsed by the Indiana State Police Alliance, and she'll fight to keep our schools and neighborhoods on the South Side safe.
Julie McGuire will be a great state representative.
Paid for by Julie McGuire for state representative.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Mostly sunny skies, very mild temperatures this afternoon. Today's high 72. We are partly cloudy, quiet, and comfortable overnight. A low down to 58. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Patchy fog burning off. It's 48 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by thehomeloanexpert.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The Republican Party in Indiana sees zero problem in record spending, in record taxation.
And Casey Daniels.
You went out there and said, please vote for me. You debated other people on why you're the better person for the position. Suck it up.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, November 3rd. Trending this hour, Miss Argentina and Miss Puerto Rico. They revealed they secretly got married. They wrote on their Instagram that they got married on October 28th after having kept their relationship out of the public eye. Also trending, the World Series Game 4. The Astros pitching staff completed only the second no-hitter in World Series history. This is during their 5-0 win. They evened up the series 2-2.
Can I say something on this real quick?
Sure.
Because Dusty Baker is the manager for the Astros, and Dusty Baker will forever be the guy who couldn't manage a pitching staff, who cost the Cubs a chance to win the World Series in 2003. So I freely admit that I'm saying this with all sorts of personal bias.
Yeah.
But if your pitcher is throwing a no-hitter in the World Series, in which that's only been done one other time, Don Larson's perfect game, and you've got a 5-0 lead. It wasn't like, boy, he'd thrown 97 pitches. Guys used to throw well over 200 pitches. You do not take the pitcher out when he's throwing a no-hitter in the World Series. If you have a chance to do in the, whatever it's been, 120 plus years that there's been a World Series, if you have a chance to do something that only one other person is doing, you don't take the guy out.
Let him finish the game.
And what's wrong with this pitcher? I would have run out to the mound. I would have sprinted. I would have laid down in the dirt. I would have handcuffed myself to the pitcher's mound. You do not, if you are a competitor, take yourself out when you're throwing a no-hitter in the World Series.
Finally trending, 5 lions. This happened in Sydney. They escaped the enclosure and families were nearby camping at a Sydney zoo. Roar and snore. Luckily, all of the campers escaped safely.
A roar and snore?
A roar and snore. It's an opportunity to camp at the zoo next to the lions. Sounds like it might be fun until the lions escape their enclosure.
Right.
And
that
then you
seems somewhat risky.
Pack up that tent really quick.
Yes.
Yeah. It is 9 minutes after 9. He's Rob Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels, and the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates by 0.75 percentage point. It was the 4th consecutive 75 basis point hike issued by the Fed and the 6th interest rate increase since March. So interest rates on mortgages, credit cards, and other loans, they're all going to rise as well.
It seems like we keep doing the same thing, and the same thing isn't helping because the goal of doing the same thing cook the overcooked economy. And everybody needs to just keep telling themselves this, that it is the government's fault that the economy is overcooked and inflation is what it is. The Federal Reserve, in the reduction of interest rates that happened in 2020, were responding to a decision made by the government. And that decision was, we are going to lock down society. So the only way to attempt to keep the economy functioning in any shape, form, or fashion was to make money super affordable so that people could make expenditures they otherwise would not make. And now that they're trying to raise their way out of the overcooked economy, you are not going to do that. And it is not going to stop until the government stops spending money. And as Joe Biden has proven, and as Todd Young told me in a room full of people, it's never, ever, ever, never, ever, 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 never going to stop. So it doesn't matter what Jerome Powell does. Now, he can probably, because as we have seen based on the colossal collapse of the stock market the past year and a half. And by the way, the colossal collapse, yes, it's a lot of stuff Biden's done, but it's also the fact that it wasn't real. So much of what happened in society in 2020 and 2021 was not real. Whether it is the stock market, you have someone close to you who is super into collectibles, the ridiculous amounts of money people were getting for collectibles, all of those things have leveled back out because it wasn't real. It was all made up.
Well, people don't have money to invest now because of these high interest rates. And Powell said that, the rates could rise above 4.5 to 4.75 percentage range. And it is the most aggressive action that they've taken since 1980, trying to fix this.
Yes, but the problem is the other side of the equation, right? It's like a relationship in which one person says, hey, this relationship is highly flawed. We should really do something about it. I'd like for us to go to counseling or start doing something markedly different that we're doing. And the other person goes, yeah, this relationship is really flawed. You ought to do something about that. In this case, the Fed is the person who's trying to take the action, which is the raising of interest rates, but the federal government continues to print money. So there still keeps being more and more and more money thrown into this economy. It doesn't do any good for the Fed to try to get money out of the economy. It's like a ship that has a hole in it, and you keep throwing water out in a bucket. It's going to keep filling back up.
Well, how about when Wall Street keeps saying the Fed is going to pivot away? We're going to pivot away from these increases. I mean, do you remember hearing that? We're going to pivot. They did. It fueled a massive run-up on stocks in October, best month since 1976. But now they have retreated because they're no longer going to pivot because you can't.
Here is Powell, and he's saying the truth. He's not saying these words, but what he's saying is it really doesn't matter what they're doing right now. Inflation isn't going anywhere.
Today, the FOMC raised our policy interest rate by 75 basis points, and we continue to anticipate that ongoing increases will be appropriate. We are moving our policy stance purposefully to a level that will be sufficiently restrictive to return inflation to 2%. In addition, we're continuing the process of significantly reducing the size of our balance sheet. Restoring price stability will likely require maintaining a restrictive stance of policy for some time.
If you want to fix inflation, and look, I can't do this because I have not entered into a relationship, again, with Todd Young. Todd Young and I have had a divorce in which that is never going to go back together. So if you are a person, so I can't do this because I'm no longer in the relationship. If you're a person who's going to kneel at the altar and vote for Todd Young because you're petrified of a Democrat, this is on you. Because you're the one voting for him, and he has told me
he's going to keep spending.
He's going to keep spending. So I'm out of this. I've said I'm tired of inflation. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of record prices and not being able to afford stuff. So as someone who has done that, I have voted for someone else. I've already made that choice and done that thing.
You gave him his key back.
My family has made the same choice. So we're out. This is on you now. The inflation is no longer on me. I've taken the action for the candidate who will do the things to address inflation. So if you are a Todd Young voter, your job now is to write an email and call this guy every single day and say, I'm a voter of yours. Stop spending the money, because that's the only way this is going to stop. And the fact that he's running ads right now, bragging about how he added tens of billions of dollars to the national debt to enrich some of the largest corporations, not just in the country, but in the world, I don't think he has any intention to stop. Now, I'm picking on him because he's our guy, but it's true with Sanders and Schumer and McConnell and Warren. And I mean, this is how it stops. It doesn't stop until they stop, and they're not stopping.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and let's quickly talk about Gavin Newsom. He cautioned his party in a recent interview for their failure to offer us a compelling narrative. He said that the Democrats are getting destroyed on messaging and that they're just going to have to do better.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom is a lunatic, but he totally gets what's going on, and this is why I really think he's likely going to be the face of the party and probably the nominee in 2024, because he knows what's happening. He knows they're about to get crushed, and he knows they stink at messaging because they've got a feeble old man who can't string three words together as their president, and they're picking Senate nominees who start the debate with, hi, good night, everybody. Take a listen.
California Governor Gavin Newsom's race for re-election is not close, so he's campaigning for embattled Democrats.
Does it feel like a red wave?
Yeah, of course it does. And again, I'm not paid to say that. I'm paid to say, fate and, I mean, I get it. Look, I mean, I could be the cheerleader. I'm also a pragmatist. You feel it.
Newsom, with one of his party's biggest digital and fundraising operations, sounds like a Democrat with bigger ambitions.
And it goes to my fundamental grievance with my damn party. We're getting crushed on narrative. We're going to have to do better. in terms of getting on the offense and stop being on the damn defense. I urge all of you living in.
Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, he knows it. He knows that they have first of all, they're losing the reality, which is the price of everything and the inability to get stuff, the price of gas, et cetera. But he also knows they're not doing a good job of spinning back to society. No, what is happening to you isn't really happening to you.
He said that he wasn't paid to say that. Okay, I thought he was paid to run the state of California. And by the way, he is paid very well. He is the highest paid governor in the country, making over $210,000 a year. He also said it's not his ambition. His ambition can change. He can walk that back easily. And he's running against a severely underfunded Republican. He's up 20 points in the polls, despite almost being recalled last year. You mentioned you think that he'll be the nominee. When I picture Gavin Newsom, I picture the oily bohunk from 16 Candles. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I guess we don't have that audio. No, I have no idea. I don't watch women's movies. But I think you had some audio for that, and I guess we don't have it. So let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, Corinne Jean-Pierre, Casey, she's back.
Okay. We'll get to it from 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
When you start going down this idea that people you disagree with aren't human, the rhetoric, the dehumanization leads to disaster. It leads to violence. It leads to bloodshed. The people who want to scream anybody they disagree with is a Nazi, that's the dehumanizing, that's a real issue. I think everyone needs a bourbon and needs to calm down.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
We all want our families to be safe. However, violent crime has been on the rise in the city of Indianapolis. In 2021, Indianapolis saw a record number of homicides, and 762 people were shot during the record violence last year. How could this happen? Far-left Democrats creating poor public safety policies like reducing bail requirements and allowing violent criminals to go free. We need leaders who will stand up for us. We need Donna Shibley for state representative. Donna Shibley will close the loophole on bail requirements, and Donna will always support our brave men and women in law enforcement. That's why Donna Shibley is endorsed by the Indiana State Police Alliance, the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, and our first responders with the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Let's vote for a leader who will keep our communities safe. Let's vote Donna Shibley for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 8th.
Paid for by Donna Shibley for state representative.
PXG is now open in Indy, baby. Introducing PXG's newest retail store, PXG Indianapolis. Get fitted for hot new PXG golf clubs and our brand new state-of-the-art fitting bays. And shop PXG's off-the-hook apparel, hats, bags, all sorts of stuff. So come by our beautiful new PXG Indianapolis store, 6091 East 82nd Street. We'll be waiting for you. PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Diego Morales is living the American dream, a dream of freedom and opportunity that inspired him and his family to move to the United States more than 2 decades ago. Diego has served in the military, and he's worked in both the public and private sectors. Diego supports strong Hoosier values, and he's been a true conservative throughout his life. As your next Secretary of State, Diego Morales is committed to keeping our elections safe and secure. He will work with federal partners to push back against federal bureaucrats taking over Hoosier elections. He will work to protect and expand photo ID laws. Diego Morales will be committed to make sure in Indiana elections it will be easy to vote and harder to cheat.
I'm Diego Morales, and I approve this message because America has been good to me, and I'm ready to give back. Protecting the American dream starts at the ballot box, and it's time to make the American dream a reality for all Hoosiers. Please vote for me, Diego Morales, for Secretary of State.
Paid for by Diego for Indiana.
As a roofer, every second counts. Late deliveries and incomplete orders cost me time and money. That's why I partner with Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. With Beacon, I know my supplies will be delivered on time and complete. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon. always building.
If you could bottle this,
Smith can shoot the three and hits the three.
Everyone will want some. That's the kind of energy flowing around Pacers Nation. We are roaring.
Here's another three. Georgia!
We are ready to rise and show the world what we're about.
And here's Turner hammering it down.
We are revved up.
Your Pacers return home against the Miami Heat Friday at 7. Tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers Heat, Friday at 7.
Today's forecast is a chiller.
Living room turning into an icebox? We'll be right there. And 1 hour heating and air conditioning? We're
Always on time.
Call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourheatandair.com. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Find out why so many Americans are getting relief with a simple cash-out refinance. How much cash can you get? Visit thehomeloanexpert.com. NMLS number 1326241.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show.
I found that a hit record is like a stew. All the ingredients have to cook together just right. Otherwise, it's just soup.
On 93 WIBC.
The Biden administration worked in tandem with social media giants like Facebook and Twitter to censor statements they deemed misinformation about topics, including the pandemic. They've not been shy about leaning on social media companies to police their content. And now a petition has been filed in a Louisiana federal court by their state attorney general and also his counterpart in Missouri that charged dozens of federal officials across at least 11 federal agencies engaged in a massive, sprawling federal censorship enterprise with the intent and effect of pressuring social media platforms to censor and suppress private speech that federal officials disfavor.
Yes. So this is why people are so upset on the left about Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter. Because the liberalism thrives when free speech and the free flow of ideas is stymied. And they did that very clearly. They, being the federal government, did that, according to Zuckerberg, take his word for it, not ours, through the pressure of things they could or could not share related to various things, re the election. So don't take our word for it. Mark Zuckerberg said that on Joe Rogan. And we know that we don't know, but we have a very, 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 very good idea that if Twitter did, or that if Facebook did it, Twitter certainly did it as well. The idea that now free thoughts can be given without stymieing, censoring, whatever, is petrifying to the left. And now it is coming out, not that we needed it to come out even more, about how the federal government interacted with private entities to keep your views and the views of millions of other people from being shared across the country, across the world. And Corinne Jean-Pierre got asked about this yesterday. And listen to this non-answer.
There was reporting in The Intercept about opportunities for the federal government to identify for social media companies different posts that contained what was perceived as misinformation about the origins of COVID, the vaccine, other things as well, such as Ukraine or the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Look, I'll say this: the administration. The Biden administration remains fully committed to our mission to protect the security and resilience of our elections and safeguard election infrastructure. That includes combating disinformation. That is something that we are committed to. We work to protect that, protect Americans from disinformation that threatens the homeland, including malicious efforts spread by foreign adversaries. began before the Disinformation Governance Board was established. In fact, some of that work began before this administration. So, I want to be very clear that cross-agency work continues to this day. Don't want to get ahead of anything else. This is a Department of Homeland Security, so I would refer you to them.
So you are flagging misinformation?
I don't have anything more to add. This is a Department of Homeland Security that I would refer you to.
Go ask the other guy.
That's the worst denial in the history of ever.
At least, you know what? Jen Psaki, the former press secretary, on July 15th of 2021 said that they were flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation, and one person's disinformation is another person's truth.
Sure. Yeah. Look, the federal government is working in coordination with social media companies to attempt to stymie and choke off your ability to see things, your ability to put things out in the ether. This is why the Twitter takeover by Elon Musk is such a big deal, because now there's a gigantic platform. We saw it the other day where Biden had to take that post down about Social Security. Mm-hmm. You had nothing to do with that.
It was incomplete.
And they backpedaled out of that. So, yes, huge deal, good thing. The more and more open and free flow of ideas that exist in our society, good thing. All right, when we come back, Casey,
yes,
Abdul's going to join us.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought when Abdul was going to be here today, our big thing with Abdul was going to be about how Diego Morales said there was no debate for Secretary of State.
Right.
When there clearly was a debate.
He was crisscrossing 92 counties in his campaign car, campaign finance vehicle.
But then this morning, a huge story broke in Indy Star about Diego Morales and potential illegal voting. So we have so much to get into. We'll talk about it coming up next.
All right. It's on the way from 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Hey, Dak Prescott here. Why do I choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because better sleep elevates my game. My Sleep Number 360 smart bed helps me fall asleep faster, keeps me cool, and effortlessly adjusts for my best sleep. That's more focus, more edge, and more highlights. And that means more wins for all of us.
And now save 40% on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition smart bed only for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Hey, good morning. It's Casey, and I'd like the chance to talk with you about Galaxy Concrete Coatings. You know, they came out and did my garage. I actually left for work, and by the time I got home in the afternoon, they were done. And it's fantastic. Galaxy Concrete Coatings, it's not an epoxy. It's better. It's 4 times stronger. The color's not going to fade. It's super easy to clean, and it has a really fast drying time, too. So if you call them, they can come out and do the job and be out of your hair, and you can start enjoying their wonderful work. Call them 317-751-9070. They're also online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Some of the charges dropped. It's partly cloudy and 49 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Prosecutors in Miami County have filed a request to drop some, but not all of the charges against Keegan Kline. He's the man investigators say is behind the fake online profile used to get sexual pictures from underage girls. He faces 30 charges in that case, but prosecutors want to drop 5 of those due to a lack of evidence. Kline has also been tied to the Delphi murder investigation, though he is not facing any charges in that case. President Biden claims former President Trump's rhetoric led to the attack on the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco.
There's an alarming rise in the number of our people in this country condoning political violence or simply remaining silent. It has to stop now.
At a Democratic National Committee event near the U.S. Capitol Wednesday, Biden said that these Republicans create a path to chaos. The World Series is tied at 2 games apiece after the Astros no-hit the Phillies in Game 4 Wednesday night in Philadelphia. In the 5-0 victory, 4 Houston pitchers combined to throw the first no-hitter in the World Series since 1956. Game 5 set for today in Philadelphia. And now the stock report here on 93 WIBC. We are in the red at the start of the week. Rather, this day, the Dow is down 256 to 31,881. The NASDAQ down 118 to 10,404. And the S&P 500 is down 42 to 3,717. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel here for Window Nation. Get ready to have a blast of winter. Yeah, that next brutal blast of wicked, wild, and windy weather's on its way. And the only thing going down is the temperature. Costs are up, but you can cut your energy bills by up to 30%, increase your home's value, and get amazing savings. Call Window Nation today. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free with no interest payments until 2025.
With Window Nation's precision installation, your new windows will lock out the cold, blocking even the smallest draft, and keep your energy bills lower. And with 0% interest till 2025, you'll have plenty of extra cash for your holiday spending. Make your home truly warm, comfortable, and inviting. Call Window Nation today, 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com. Get 2 windows free with every 2 that you buy, 0% interest until 2025, 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com. Discover why over 250,000 homeowners say Window Nation is the perfect fit.
Introducing Spectrum One. Get Spectrum Internet with speeds of 300 megabits per second. Advanced Wi-Fi with best-in-class security and privacy. Spectrum Mobile with unlimited talk, text, and data plus nationwide 5G. Get it all with Spectrum One. Spectrum Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and 1 line of Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for only $49.99 a month. Visit Spectrum.com or a Spectrum store today. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. Oh, look who it is.
And he's wearing a jacket.
The one and only. He's an author. He's a broadcaster. He's a provocateur. The one and only Abdul Hakim Shabazz. How are you, my friend?
I'm having a better day than probably a candidate for Secretary of State right now.
Oh, well, okay, so let's start with it. I thought this would be the big story when it comes to the Secretary of State's race today.
Week.
But it turned out the Indy star, when it comes to Diego Morales, said, but wait, there's more. So we'll get to the breaking news this morning in just a moment. But first, let's talk about yesterday, in which Diego went on Tony's show and had to know he was going to be asked, why did you not debate your opponents? That was a huge story. It was, all people all over the state wanted to know that. And his answer was essentially the debate didn't happen. Is that the worst answer you could have possibly given?
Yeah. Had to think about it. Yeah, I think so, because it's one thing to, of all the things that Diego could have responded with, I don't trust the League of Women Voters. They say they're nonpartisan, but here's some data to show that they are, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't going to participate in the debate. I enjoy talking to Hoosiers, answering their questions directly without a filter, blah, 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 blah. That's all he had to say, and you'd been fine. But instead, he used what I call the Shaggy defense. It wasn't me. But I saw you on the counter. It wasn't me. But I saw you on the sofa. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Like, who can believe me or your lying eye? So there was no debate. But yes, there was a debate. The 2 candidates were there.
You were there.
I was there.
I watched it.
A bunch of media people. So all those people, we just magically turned on nothing for 2 hours for an hour on Sunday night on October 10th.
Yeah, okay. And when you lie about the obvious, and especially when you do it in a forum like Tony's, which has a huge audience, and this radio station are some of the most politically engaged people in the entire state, you're insulting those people. Like a lie like that is so blatant and so obvious, it causes people to cut across whatever political norms or established views they have and say, wait a second, This guy's just lying right to my face. And even if I'm a Republican, I'm not going to tolerate that because what else is he lying about?
Exactly, because if you're not honest about the small stuff, then how can we trust you on the bigger stuff?
Right. And for a guy who has all sorts of unanswered questions, whether it's his work record, his military record, the stuff that you put out there, you stop getting the benefit of the doubt when you're caught lying about the most obvious and stuff you don't even need to lie about.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the thing is, if my grandfather used to say this all the time, like, grandson, the only thing I hate worse than a thief and a liar is a clumsy thief and a bad liar.
Yeah, and look, the allegations that the women made to you, those to me, and we talked about it on air, I wouldn't vote based on that because they aren't putting their names behind it. He can't disprove it. They can't prove it. But it is a pattern of things. Like the Secretary of State getting fired from the Secretary of State's office. You produced that paperwork. They've never said, no, that's a total fraud. That's a made up. You've been fooled, Abdul. They just say, no, that didn't happen, and Rokita endorsed me. But that didn't happen, but Rokita endorsed me. When you lie, when you are caught lying about something ridiculous, and the lie is so ridiculous, right? Like if he had just come out and given the answer you'd given, or one close to that, I'd have gone on and ripped him at the start of our show, and that'd been the end of it. Instead, it's a huge story. Because it's not a difference of opinion. It's not you have a bad opinion. It's you're lying.
I was always taught when you're in a hole, first thing to do is to get out of the hole, stop digging.
Yeah. 93 WIBC, it's the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Abdul is here. So we thought that was going to be the big story involving Diego today. But this morning, James Briggs of Indy Star has a big expose saying that Diego may have illegally voted in 2018.
Now, folks, for some of you longtime listeners to the State House Happenings program, you might remember a gentleman by the name of Charlie White.
Yes.
Back in 2010, who was elected Secretary of State. Turns out he didn't vote where he was supposed to vote and ended up going to getting convicted of voter fraud.
Okay, so this is ironic for the first reason that Diego, after he was, according to the paperwork, fired by Todd Rokita, then somehow ended up working for Charlie White, who is the next Secretary of State, who, according to the paperwork, Diego was about to be fired by Charlie White's office before he quit. And as you said, Charlie White then later was convicted. Did he go to prison?
He did. I don't think he went to prison. He got home detention.
Okay, but he was convicted of committing illegally voting, right? Yep. And this dates back to when he was on the Fisherstown Council.
The Fisherstown Council. He lived in Fishers. He lived in one place, voted another place. It was weird. It was all I know is at the end of the day, Charlie ended up getting in trouble and convicted of a felony.
And he had to resign as secretary, or he was removed or whatever as Secretary of State.
Well, you had to step down because once you're convicted, then you got to step down under Indiana law.
Yeah. So Briggs, an Indy Star, and this is, you got to give credit to Indy Star, great job of reporting on this, says that in 2016, Diego bought a home in Marion County. And with that home, as most Hoosier taxpayers do, he had a homestead credit tax deduction on that home, and that homestead credit where you take is your primary residence. You're saying, this is where I live. That's why it's called the homestead credit. This is where I live. Well, obviously, where you live is where you would vote. The only problem is in 2018, and I believe not once but twice, right?
You voted in the primary and the general election.
Diego Morales voted at a residence in Plainfield, and
because he was a candidate for Congress in the 4th Congressional District.
Right. So I was asking you that his residence in Marion County was at the time not, you correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm phrasing this in the form of the question, it was not in the congressional district he was running in, correct?
Exactly.
So if you start connecting some dots here, the guy has a homestead credit in Marion County. He's voting in Plainfield at a second residence. Well, now we've got a big problem here because
we've got two problems.
Yeah, no, you're right because
either A, you're committing property tax fraud by taking credit for getting a homestead credit
right
that you're not entitled to, or you're committing voter fraud
right
because you're voting in a place where it's not your primary residence. So, are you stealing property taxes or voting is the question. Now, what makes life even more interesting is that either Ryan Mears or Cindy Carrasco may have to deal with this, or what's the name?
Lauren Delp.
Lauren Delp, the Hendricks County prosecutor, may have to deal with this. I can see them both saying, no, not us. We're getting a special prosecutor, let them investigate, and I see exactly where potentially this is going.
Because if he committed voter fraud, according to Briggs, that's a level 6 felony. And again, now maybe there is some logical answer for this, but I don't see it because your homestead credit is your primary residence. That's why it's called a homestead credit. So if you took the homestead credit, that's where you should be voting, right?
You would think.
So how he's going to say that these two things could be true at the same time. And of course, the irony in all of this is that he centered his campaign on cracking down
on voter fraud.
Voter fraud.
He wanted to make it easier to vote and harder to cheat. That was his slogan.
Okay, so let's... By the way, Abdul is here. We're talking about the never-ending saga that is Diego Morales. Let's talk about this.
Saga, that's the 4-letter S word you're going to use?
Well, the thing that obviously people are thinking about now is how does this impact the election? Up until, I don't know, maybe an hour ago, I was under the pretense, and I said it out loud, I still think he's going to get across the finish line. I'm not so sure anymore. How Republican is the state? Because the Republicans could not pick a worse candidate than Diego Morales.
Well, but Diego's strategy this whole election cycle has been to basically get Republicans to vote straight ticket, and if he thinks if he gets Republicans to vote straight ticket, then he can win. That straight ticket surf will carry him over to the finish line. I'm not so sure about that because I still think there are a number of Republicans who aren't going to vote, who may vote straight ticket but may scratch for Destiny Wells or maybe skip a race altogether, not vote straight ticket. So that's one part of the equation.
And the thing that hurts Diego is that Jeff Moore, the Libertarian, is such a great candidate. Like if it were some weirdo or booger eater or whatever, you'd have people who may just leave it blank or make, gosh, I got to vote for this guy. Having a great alternative hurts him because you don't have to vote for Destiny Wells if you don't like Diego.
Exactly. And then the other thing, too, to keep in mind is, let's say, one conclusion is, obviously, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, number one. But let's say Diego does get elected, is convicted of, say, a voter violation or a homestead violation, which potentially is a felony, and then he has to step down. Well, guess who gets to pick his replacement?
Yeah, and boy, who's been saying that for a while? Holcomb would get to make the replacement. People should just listen to us.
And I would not be surprised, just out of a very delicious irony and a big giant, Felix Unger to the delegates, that Holcomb were to pick Holly Sullivan to take Diego's place. Now, this is all the realm of speculation, but once again, folks, this does bring up serious questions about elections and integrity. And when you have potentially the candidate for Secretary of State possibly have committed voter fraud, come on.
Yeah, and it's not an either-or thing in the sense of, I've heard that from a lot of people. Say, well, we wanted to send a message to Holcomb and, we didn't want Holly Sullivan. There was a third option. And the third option was actually the best, most qualified option, which was David Shelton, who's the Knox County clerk, who's actually run elections, who I believe has actually caught voter fraud, won an award or something for it. So if you wanted that, it wasn't, it was either Diego or Holly Sullivan. There was another option. And so ultimately, that rests on the delegates who didn't vet this guy.
And what's funny is I actually had a conversation about a month ago with a Hamilton County Precinct Committeeman. We were downtown just having coffee. And I was like, so what's the deal with Diego? Like, come on, honestly. He's like, well, Abdul, let's say Diego gets elected. At least we control the office, so when he gets thrown out, we can replace it.
Hey, are you working this weekend?
Yes. Interviewing Dr. Laura Wilson.
Oh, yeah?
University of Indianapolis.
She moderated that debate that Diego said didn't happen.
Yeah, yes, she did. Also, we spoke to Evan McMahon, the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Indiana, and also Michael Hart. He's a Republican candidate running for the State House in Marion County.
The one and only Abdul Hakim Shabazz. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thank you.
93 WIBC. It's the Kendall and Casey Show.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel Show, more on the midterm elections. Plus, we'll go off the rails with Rob Kendall. That's at 3 o'clock, 93 WIBC.
I'd rather be folding laundry.
This is gonna be fun.
Said no one ever. Also, no one enjoys wasting time in traffic. That's why we love saving you time. Matt Baird Traffic.
Backups are already starting.
On 93 WIBC.
The next time you visit your healthcare provider, we'll ask you about your race, ethnicity, and preferred language. Why do we ask? We ask because we care. Providing you with the highest level of care requires that we know all we can about you. Not only will this help us take better care of you, it will also help us learn more about our community and the additional services we can provide to keep Indiana as healthy as possible. This message is brought to you by Indiana University Health, Eskenazi Health, and Community Health Network.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 38,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
We all want our families to be safe. However, violent crime has been on the rise in the city of Indianapolis. In 2021, Indianapolis saw a record number of homicides, and 762 people were shot during the record violence last year. How could this happen? Far-left Democrats creating poor public safety policies like reducing bail requirements and allowing violent criminals to go free. We need leaders who will stand up for us. We need Donna Shibley for state representative. Donna Shibley will close the loophole on bail requirements, and Donna will always support our brave men and women in law enforcement. That's why Donna Shibley is endorsed by the Indiana State Police Alliance, the Indiana Fraternal Order of Police, and our first responders with the Indiana Professional Firefighters PAC. Let's vote for a leader who will keep our communities safe. Let's vote Donna Shibley for state representative on or before Tuesday, November 8th.
Paid for by Donna Shibley for state representative.
When treating patients with cancer, there's no such thing as too much teamwork. At Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center, your circle of support includes a team of multiple specialists working together to treat your specific type of cancer. There's no better way to put together a treatment plan, and there's no other place to get this level of care in the region. Learn more about Community MD Anderson at ecommunity.com/cancer.
You asked, we toasted. That's right, breakfast bagels are back at McDonald's. Wake up with your favorite today, like the steak, egg, and cheese bagel, freshly toasted and topped with a tender, juicy steak patty, a fluffy folded egg, melty American cheese, and grilled onions. Or enjoy other classic combinations like the sausage, egg, and cheese or bacon, egg, and cheese. When you're all finished, you'll be wishing it was morning, all over again. Breakfast hours only at participating McDonald's.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go, so I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Searching, ordering, tracking. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon, always building.
It's the Home and Garden Show live from Sullivan Hardware and Garden at 71st and Keystone. Join Pat, Denny, and the gang and kick off the holiday season at Sullivan's with great deals on home decor to help you get ready for the season.
Blood in the streets, it's up to my ankles. Feet flat in the streets, it's up to my knees.
So Eric Holcomb has announced an economic development trip to Egypt next week. He's
Wait, what?
leaving the country.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Eric Holcomb, our governor, he's going to Egypt.
Oh, okay.
He's going to the United Nations Climate Change Conference.
Sure. Oh, he's going to the where?
The United Nations Climate Change Conference.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna be the keynote, do the keynote address.
Okay, so let me make sure I understood this correctly. So, our governor in a state that has record government spending, record government programs, is sitting on $1,500 of our money that they don't have any use for. The gas tax, one of the highest in the nation. He's not doing anything to help people here. He's spending his time going to Egypt to talk about climate change. What the hell does Eric Holcomb know about climate change? I missed that in his degree. I mean, is he, I miss his years on television as a meteorologist studying and talking about the weather. I missed him on the Weather Channel for all those years. Eric Holcomb knows no more about climate than I do.
So he's going to do the keynote address. And he's talking about Indiana's efforts to usher in clean energy infrastructure.
You mean where they're
and innovation?
You mean where they're buying up all that land and putting the windmills in?
Mhm.
Yeah, you mean okay, cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, just.
Yeah. Did you know that this is his 14th international trip?
This is yes. Okay, so thank you, Casey.
14th.
This guy, for wanting to be the governor of Indiana, really loathes being in Indiana, because at every opportunity he finds ways to not only get out of Indiana, but he leaves the entire frickin' country. And this is, Holcomb and Hupfer and his buddies, the donors and lobbyists in the Indiana Republican Party, have this bizarre fetish about not improving the lives of actual Hoosiers, but trying to attract as much international money and businesses to our state. Not even we went to Illinois and stole a business. Okay. International. And when this happens, you're not benefiting the lives of Hoosiers. You're not helping people now. And there's a good chance that a lot of these corporations that they're bringing to Indiana are also not helping people now. They're bringing in outside workers. Eric Holcomb goes out of his way to help everyone but the people of Indiana.
He's going to be palling around with John Kerry because he'll be there.
Of course he is.
Yeah. So this event is being held in Egypt. It's called COP27, COP27. The event runs November 6th through the 18th. Holcomb's not going to be there the entire time. We don't have all of the details about his trip, but we do know he's going. Get this. He just got back from Germany. You remember he was just over in Germany. He will not be in the state of Indiana on Election Day.
Look, again, I am not the problem in this equation because I had a very messy divorce from the Holcomb administration about 3 months into the Holcomb administration. And I didn't vote for Eric Holcomb. So if you're a person who crossed over to vote for Eric Holcomb, if you had whether it was you were afraid of a Democrat or a momentary moment of insanity or whatever reason that might have been, you need to do something about this because I did my part. My family did my part.
You filed the papers?
From happening. So, I mean, you have a governor. So 14 times he's been governor for 6 years. So that is what? Like 2.5, 2 1/3, whatever, times a year. He's not just leaving the state. He's leaving the country. He wants to be everywhere but in Indiana, which is weird because you said you wanted to be the governor of the state of Indiana. I do not want my state internationalized, Casey. I like Indiana. I like Hoosiers. I like the feel and flavor of Indiana. I grew up in Indiana. I like what Indiana is. And I don't give rounds of applause for governors who leave the state to attract international companies who, by and large, are not going to be hiring nor benefiting the people of Indiana.
Buying up land here in the Hoosier
You
state.
don't get a gold star for helping other countries. Because clearly, the investment, what does that mean for me? Taxes have never been higher in Indiana. You've never kept more of my money. So apparently, the lust and fetish of attracting international companies isn't resulting in a better pocketbook for me. We have one of the highest gas taxes in the entire nation. So what does this do for me? What does this do for my neighbors other than change the landscape of what Indiana is and has always been?
Yeah, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And let's talk about someone who's very unpopular, even with members of his own party, many calling for him not to run again. He's already the oldest president in history, older at the start of his first term than Ronald Reagan was at the end of his second term. He's got record low approval ratings, and he was just in Florida, which quite frankly is a total waste of time because Ron DeSantis is going to beat Chris by double digits.
Right.
And we're talking about President Walnut, Joe Biden, and now even CNN saying, yeah, nobody really wants him to come stump for him for this election, this midterm.
Go.
That's a big factor in where Biden has been these last few days. He is not going to the places that you're seeing former President Obama go to. No. It's because of that approval rating.
And a lot of people are not, they don't want to be seen with the president, quite frankly, and they don't want to even answer the question about whether they should be running with him or having him on the campaign trail or if they'll support him come 2020.
Yeah.
Even CNN, Casey.
A moment of clarity from CNN, huh?
Even CNN.
Yeah, imagine sharing a campaign stage with that guy. You wouldn't want to put your name next to his. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Last chance. Still need an Indy decorative concrete patio? Schedule a free estimate before Thanksgiving to lock in this year's pricing for next year's install. Backyard living starts at IndyDecorativeConcrete.com. That's IndyDecorativeConcrete.com.
Denny Smith here for Sundown Gardens. Sundown still has plenty of quality nursery stock on sale, 20 to 50% off. It's still a great time to plant and save. And can you believe it? The holiday open house is just around the corner. The Sundown Holiday Open House is November 19th and 20th. There will be fresh-cut trees available, fresh-cut greenery, and all holiday decor on full display. Samples, door prizes, and giveaways November 19th and 20th. Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
Hun, have you seen my trapper hat with the ear flaps?
You mean that fuzzy one?
And what about my scouting vest?
Oh, no. Randy, no.
We need tires.
Right, but you don't have to go on some stupid hunt every time we need tires.
It's a quest for the best deal.
I called Tire Discounters. We saved $150 on our new Michelins, and they pick up and deliver.
What?
They already picked up the car.
Where's the fun in that?
Right now at Tire Discounters, the home of free alignment, you save up to $150 on Michelin tires.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain like Heather?
I have terrible arthritis and have had it for quite a while. And I've gone to all kinds of doctors trying to figure out what to do. And everybody just said surgery. And surgery was months of rehab. And I didn't want to do that.
But then Heather discovered QC Kinetics, local medical professionals who specialize in natural biologic treatments, non-invasive solutions designed to repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. And she absolutely loves the results.
I like to tell anybody who's suffering that there are options that are not steroids, that are not surgery. You owe it to yourself to find out about QC Kinetics and find out what they can do for you.
No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Discover QC Kinetics and learn more about natural biologic treatments with lasting results.
Call QC Kinetics 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
If you could bottle this, Smith can shoot the three and hits the three. Everyone will want some. That's the kind of energy flowing around Pacers Nation. We are roaring. Here's another three. Georgia! We are ready to rise and show the world what we're about. And here's Turner hammering it down. We are revved up.
Your Pacers return home against the Miami Heat Friday at 7. Tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers, Heat. Friday at 7.
Thanks, Bob. Well, today's forecast is a chiller. Looks like we can see record lows in the living room and the dining room, while the kitchen is going to stay cold until late in the evening. All three bedrooms will be freezing, with only occasional warmth from the fireplace to provide little relief.
Living room turning into an icebox? We'll be right there. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we're
always on time, or you don't pay time.
Call 855-1-HOUR or visit onehourheatandair.com. Each location independently owned and operated. Licensed in their respective state or county.
The Inflation Reduction Act made more subsidy money available to help qualified people who don't get health insurance on the job and early retirees afford their Obamacare plans. At myhealthinsurance.com, they specialize in helping you find the right plan that works best for you. Visit myhealthinsurance.com to see if you're eligible for a subsidy. Shop and enroll online or find a local licensed insurance agent. MyHealthInsurance.com is a brand owned by IHC Specialty Benefits Incorporated, an independent licensed insurance agency. MyHealthInsurance.com.
Local news in 2 minutes from the Schemper Community Center studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
Consider the future of democracy. I'm Chris Foster. Fox News. President Biden says democracy's in peril due to election lies, threats, and political violence.
We're not often faced with questions of whether our vote will preserve democracy or put it at risk, President Biden warned.
This year we are.
Speaking near the U.S. Capitol, the president said he hopes Americans will make the future of democracy a reason to vote.
And how you vote.
Less than a week from the midterm elections, President Biden noted recent acts of political violence and intimidation inflation and blamed former President Trump for fueling it.
He has abused his power and put the loyalty to himself before loyalty to the Constitution.
The president says there are candidates running for office at every level who won't commit to accepting election results. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
South Carolina Senate Republican Lindsey Graham responds on Fox.
I thought it was pathetic. I thought it was divisive. Not one word about how I'm going to secure a broken border, how I'm going to lower gas prices as president, how I'm going to challenge rampant crime, how I'm going to make us energy independent. It was about half the country basically being political terrorists.
Former President Obama in Phoenix, Arizona, campaigning for Democrats, calls out a heckler who wouldn't let up.
Hold up. Hey, young man, just listen for a second. You know, you have to be polite and civil. When people are talking, then other people are talking, and then you get a chance to talk. Set up your own rally.
And the young man was eventually led out of the event. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan has been shot in the foot at a political rally in what his party calls an assassination attempt. Police have a suspect in custody. The Bank of England announces its largest interest rate hike in 33 years, joining the U.S., Federal Reserve, and other central banks trying to beat down inflation. The Bank of London at the same time is predicting a recession lasting through June 2024. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They want to drop some of the charges. The radar is clear. It's sunny and 52 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Keegan Kline is facing 30 counts of child pornography in Miami County. He's the man police say is behind the Anthony Schatz profile, a catfish account to get sexual pics from underage girls. Well, prosecutors have filed to drop 5 of those charges due to a lack of evidence. His trial date is set for January. He's also been tied to the Delphi murders, but he's not facing any charges in that particular case. Prison time for a woman from Jay County convicted of cutting her 2-year-old daughter's wrists. Harrison Silcox reports.
Raven Myers attacked her daughter January 11th, say court documents. She and her daughter were at a relative's house who had custody. That relative fell asleep, and when she woke up, they were gone. While looking for the two, police were called back to the home for a suicide attempt. Witnesses told police Myers cut her daughter's wrists and said God told her to do it. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison and 5 years probation after pleading guilty as mentally ill. Harrison Silcox, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Cancer comes in many forms. Lung cancer is a leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S. right now, which has medical experts urging you to get screened.
Lung cancer screenings can save thousands of lives, and so we have a lot of work to do to increase this.
Mackenzie Church is executive director of End Cancer Now at Indiana University. She tells Wish TV that many people get screened for breast and colon cancer, but far less are getting screened for lung cancer. An argument between 2 men in Anderson ends with one shooting the other with a crossbow Wednesday. Frederick Clam is in jail awaiting charges that he'll face. It's shaping up to be the second largest Powerball jackpot ever. No one won the jackpot prize Wednesday night, so now it's grown to $1.5 billion.
If I win, I just want to make sure my family's taken care of.
Other people said that they would save for retirement or use it to pay for necessary expenses. One Hoosier won $1 million Powerball prize earlier this week. Several others from Indiana have won $50,000. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
When your health diagnosis isn't going according to plan, you likely seek a second opinion. It's time you treat your wealth the same way. Get a new perspective, new information, a new diagnosis for your investments. Get a second opinion from a wealth planner at Edelman Financial Engines. Our dedicated planners offer personalized advice and are ready to talk one-on-one. Our approach is backed by institutional rigor. We model over 38,000 securities monthly, so we can better stress test your portfolio through thousands of scenarios. So, take a deep breath and take care of your wealth like you take care of your health. Get your complimentary wealth checkup today, where you can discuss your financial plan with a wealth planner. Call Edelman Financial Engines at 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit efewealthplanners.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by thehomeloanexpert.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The Republican Party in Indiana sees zero problem in record spending, in record taxation.
And Casey Daniels.
You went out there and said, please vote for me. You debated other people on why you're the better person for the position. Suck it up.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, November 3rd, and trending this hour, National Sandwich Day. That is today. Hashtag National Sandwich Day. Also trending, still no winner in the Powerball jackpot. It is now up to a staggering $1.5 billion. That's with a B. And lastly, trending, Bono from U2. He has a new memoir out. It's called Surrender, 40 Songs, One Story. In it, he detailed a visit to Obama's White House where the two had wine, and then later Bono passed out in the Lincoln bedroom. It is 6 minutes after 10. He's Rob Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels, and let's talk about TikTok, the Chinese-owned social media app. It is now being called to be banned. This from the FCC Commissioner, Brendan Carr. And he's not alone in this. Even Senator Mark Warner, who's a Democrat from Virginia, has said this is not something you would normally hear me say, but Donald Trump was right about TikTok years ago.
Well, again, and this is the theme of the show today, it's someone else's problem and not mine, because just like the Holcomb or Todd Young, I broke up with those people a long time ago and did not vote for them. This is a you problem, Casey, because I do not do the TikTok for this exact reason. And I'm curious because clearly China is using TikTok to spy on and manipulate people. How are you okay with having this thing on your mobile device that follows you around everywhere?
Yeah, I go on it less and less because I do have the app. I have posted content to it. I do consume others. But you know what I'm finding? That my mood is generally worse after being on TikTok.
Why is that? Because of the people you see?
Yeah, it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm in a bad algorithm and what they're feeding me is not good.
Maybe, Liz, I would like to make sure everyone heard that correctly. My mood has been ruined because maybe I'm in a bad algorithm.
Yeah.
Like, how would your life suffer if you were not on the TikTok?
It would not. It would not suffer.
I think there's your answer.
Yeah.
Now,
so I find myself going to it less and less.
It does raise an interesting question, though, which is, I am a free person. You are a free person. Kevin is a free person. As such, if we know TikTok is indeed spying on us, then don't we as free people have the right to be spied on if we choose to want to be spied on? Like, there is a big difference. It's kind of the way COVID was, right? The government's role should have been, here's what we know about COVID. Based on what we know, here is what we recommend you do. Instead, they just said, we're shutting everything down because you're not a free person and you're too stupid to think for yourself. Same thing here, right? Shouldn't the government be saying, here's what we know about TikTok. Based on that information, this is what we mention or we recommend you do. You take that information and you provide, you make that choice based on the information we're providing. Banning stuff is a very dangerous thing.
Well, right. So you can't single out one business and ban them as you want. That's just bad governance. You have to write laws, rules, regulations, but then you have to apply them to all of the businesses within that category, within that industry. You don't get to pick winners and losers. That's not the government's job to pick winners and losers. That's up to individuals to decide what they want to consume. It's very much like the $10,000 student loan transfer.
Yeah.
The government just can't pick who gets to, it doesn't work that way. But it's probably not in our country's best interest. But also 32 ounces of soda is probably not good for you either, but New York passed that law. At some point, it's up to people to take accountability for it. Now, I downloaded the app because that was what was expected of me
Like your employer said, we want you to be on TikTok?
In media, yeah.
Really?
I mean, you're supposed to have all of that stuff. Have the Instagram the Facebook and the TikTok and put yourself out there because people are drawn to personalities. That's, what we were told.
Yeah,
so that's why I downloaded it. But like I said, I'm going to it less and less.
Yeah, there is no amount of money or job that I would allow my employer to force me to be spied on by China. All right. When we come back, big news of the day breaking. Indy Star had a big expose. James Briggs running the story on this, alleging that Diego Morales may have committed voter fraud based on where he voted a couple of years ago when he was running for Congress. This is a huge, of all the Diego stuff, this may be the biggest thing of all because his whole campaign is centered around stop voter fraud, stamp out voter fraud. I'm the election integrity guy. So we're going to have our good buddy, because Diego won't come on the program, our good buddy Jeff Moore, the Libertarian nominee for Secretary of State. And we will ask him on the evening of October 10th, 2022, were you indeed at a Secretary of State debate?
Okay. It's on the way from 93 WIBC.
What's happening?
The arrest of Richard M. Allen. Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
On 93 WIBC.
This investigation is far from complete. Share additional information about what we can and cannot say.
Check in at the top and bottom of the hour.
The midterm elections, it's a real problem right now for the Democrats.
1 week left to save our state.
Get the very latest.
What happened to Paul Pelosi in San Francisco?
The day's news.
Just look at the facts.
He is totally wrong.
Is on 93 WIBC.
It's a new day because COVID vaccines just got a big update. So all the big stuff coming up this fall? Well, now you can say, you bet I'll be there. Because updated COVID vaccines protect against both the original COVID virus and Omicron. And everyone 5 and older can get one. So this is a moment we've all been waiting for.
Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The next time you visit your healthcare provider, we'll ask you about your race, ethnicity, and preferred language. Why do we ask? We ask because we care. Providing you with the highest level of care requires that we know all we can about you. Not only will this help us take better care of you, it will also help us learn more about our community and the additional services we can provide to keep Indiana as healthy as possible. This message is brought to you by Indiana University Health, Eskenazi Health, and Community Health Network.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
PXG is now open in Indy, baby. Introducing PXG's newest retail store, PXG Indianapolis. Get fitted for hot new PXG golf clubs and our brand new state-of-the-art fitting bays. And shop PXG's off-the-hook apparel, hats, bags, all sorts of stuff. So come by our beautiful new PXG Indianapolis store, 6091 East 82nd Street. We'll be waiting for you. PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
There's only one you, and you only have one heart. That's why Franciscan Health is here with the highest level of heart care that's personal, compassionate, and sensitive to your needs. Known for embracing innovative technology and advancements in care, our nationally recognized heart team is committed to helping you protect the only heart you've got. To schedule your appointment with a heart care expert or to get a second opinion, visit franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
That guy's brain is a bag full of cats. He could smell crazy on him.
And Casey Daniels.
If she were a president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln.
On 93 WIBC.
Send lawyers, guns, and money. Dad, get me out of this. How?
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. And look, we have got to get some things on the record about what happened on October the 10th, 2022, because, well, yesterday, the Republican candidate for Secretary of State told me I didn't see what I know I saw. And to join us, the Libertarian candidate for Secretary of State, Jeff Moore. How are you?
Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Casey. Good to be with you. I'm doing well. A bit flabbergasted. It's been quite a 24 hours.
Yeah, and when you were coming in today, I said, okay, we're going to talk about the debate that happened that Diego said didn't happen. That'll be our lead story. And then he was like, nope. We're going to have something even bigger to talk about. We'll get to that in a second. But first, can you clarify for the record that on the evening of October 10th, 2022, you were indeed at a debate moderated by Dr. Laura Wilson and also your Democrat counterpart, Destiny Wells, was there?
That is all correct. I can confirm that. In fact, you can go see it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. If you go to morer4indiana.com/debate, there is a link there to the video. The debate was hosted by WFYI and organized by the League of Women Voters, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. And this was live televised and live streamed statewide and, of course, online, so anybody anywhere can see it. So this did, in fact, happen. And our Republican opponent, unfortunately, chose to refuse to appear and did not participate in that. And had he would have had the opportunity on stage to talk about why the federal government should not take over our elections.
Okay, so you're a candidate, and obviously I'm sure you've done these interviews. You've been on Tony's show before. You've been on many shows. You kind of have an idea of what sort of questions you're going to get asked when you go into these interviews. And if you're Diego and you're going on Tony's show, you know he's probably going to ask you, why'd you skip the debate? It's almost like was just totally caught off guard that he got that question and just made something up. Am I wrong in thinking that's, because there's no way that they sat around as a campaign team and said, let's tell people the debate didn't happen.
I can't speak to what they decided inside their campaign. I know for a fact the debate happened. I was there. The Democrat candidate was there. The Republican refused to appear.
What is the, I'm sure you have had a lot of people contact you about this, and I'm always curious, how big of a deal is something? I feel like I have a pretty good gauge on whether something's a big deal or not, and I think this is a big deal because he's lying about something so blatantly obvious, and that really insults the voter. It's not a we have a difference of opinion on this and your opinion's bad and mine's good. It's you're lying. Have people been reaching out to you? What sort of response are you getting from this?
It's been strange. There's a bit of disbelief that somebody could make such a claim. And this is why we need audits and receipts. We need to be transparent. And this is why the video of the debate is so important. And it's right there. It's online. It has been ever since the debate. Go see it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. You can Google it and find it through WFYI and through the League of Women Voters. And again, through my website, because I make it easy. So go see for yourself. Don't take somebody else's word for it. And this is a dangerous precedent to have somebody who is just so distanced from reality that we have a lie like this.
Jeff Moore, our guest, he's the Libertarian candidate for Secretary of State. Diego's lie, too, is insulting to everyone, not just the voters, but it's also insulting to the League of Women Voters, who went to a lot of effort to put the debate on. It's insulting to Dr. Laura Wilson. Like, you can't say Laura Wilson's on this station all the time. Nobody's going to say, well, she is just some far left-wing radical. It wasn't Mike Schmuel moderating the debate. It's insulting to her. It's insulting to you. It's insulting to Destiny. Look, I don't like a lot of Destiny's views, but she shows up everywhere, which is what a candidate should do. It's just totally self-absorbed and really demeaning to everybody who worked hard to give that opportunity at transparency.
That's true. And as I've said before, the real winner of the debate is the voter, is the viewer, is our neighbor who gets to see and comparison shop all the candidates all at one point. And so by not participating, that's just like not having an ad online. And it's an insult to everyone else because you're just trying to hide.
All right, I thought that was going to be the big story of the day involving Diego, and I thought, well, we'll do a segment on that, and Jeff will confirm he was at the debate, and that'll be interesting, and we'll talk about some other things. But then this morning, apparently James Briggs from IndyStar had an expose come out in which he is alleging that Diego Morales in 2016 bought a home in Marion County that he took a homestead credit on, and then voted in 2018 while still having the homestead credit on that house in Marion County in Plainfield. and that is a huge deal. You are the candidate for Secretary of State who wants to oversee elections. I will give you the floor and tell us why it's a big deal to not vote where your homestead credit is.
Right. So it turns out lying is going to be a theme of today. And somebody who can lie about a debate that was live televised and everybody saw might also lie about his voting record. And so by law, you can have if you own a home, you can take a mortgage tax credit, a homestead. This is not legal advice. This is not financial advice, but
this is common sense.
Common sense, and you could see it for yourself. It's available information. And so you can take a homestead credit for your permanent residence. And that's the important language there. It's your permanent home, your permanent residence.
That's why it's called homestead.
Homestead, right.
It's where you live.
The government, in its infinite wisdom, wants to encourage home ownership. And so there's a tax incentive for having one permanent residence, and that being in Indiana. And so many of us who own homes take advantage of this. I can tell you I have taken advantage of this since I bought my home in Carmel in October of 2013.
And that's also where you vote.
It's the same address where I vote. And those two things have matched up consistently.
Oh, go ahead.
So what IndyStar is reporting, we should note that the author is an opinion columnist and not a reporter, but this is based on reporting of publicly available information. So any one of us can independently verify it, as I will get a chance to do after a little later today. But it also appears that Mr. Morales has voted at an address that was not his homestead credit address.
And what you mean by that is when you live in this case, his home was in Marion County. By the way, Jeff Moore is our guest, Libertarian candidate for Secretary of State. We're talking about the allegations in IndyStar today that Diego Morales may have illegally voted in 2018. What you're saying is when you vote, when you live somewhere, they tell you, here are your polling places you vote. Here are the offices you are eligible to vote for. Like, for example, I live in Brownsburg. I can vote on the Lincoln Township trustee, but I would not vote on a trustee, say, for someone in Washington Township, which is Avon. There's specific offices you're allowed to vote for based on where your primary residence is.
That's exactly right. You can vote for Brownsburg schools, but you can't vote for Carmel schools. There's a reason why it's important to vote in your district where you live.
So we get to the point where the guy took a homestead credit in Marion County. He's voting in Plainfield. Now, as Abdul reported earlier, he was running for Congress at the time. The house that he lived in as his homestead credit, or listed as his homestead credit, was not in his congressional district. The address he voted at in Plainfield was in his congressional district. People can connect whatever dots they want to connect to with that. But if indeed this allegation is true, then it's either or, right? You can't take a homestead credit as your primary residence and vote somewhere else. So it seems like, and somebody of the law can correct me on this, we've either got potentially a case of voter fraud here, or we potentially got a case of some sort of, I don't know if tax fraud is the right word, because these two things cannot be true at the same time, can they?
I'm not a lawyer, but it sure seems that way on the surface. And these things are meant to be clear to incentivize the right behaviors. And we're going to need some legal review for this. And we should expect to hear a statement from Mr. Morales' campaign, or at least I would hope to hear that.
And we should clarify that everybody's innocent until proven guilty. We're just looking at the evidence as presented and saying, how can these two things be true at the same time based on the rules and regulations that everybody else has to play by?
Correct. And one other thing to note is that per our U.S. Constitution, you don't actually need to be a resident of your congressional district to run for that congressional district.
No, absolutely. It doesn't look good, though.
It does. Correct. It does not look good.
Okay, so this is a big deal. A couple minutes here left with Jeff Moore, Libertarian candidate for Secretary of State, because he has made election integrity and cracking down on illegal voting a huge part of his campaign. So it's totally fair game to talk about this, right?
Yeah, absolutely, especially when my Republican opponent has made a campaign quoting easy to vote, hard to cheat. And here it seems that we have an appearance of cheating, which he'll need to clarify.
You are the luckiest libertarian in the entire world. You know that?
How so?
Well, look at who you're running against. I mean, I didn't think a libertarian's going to get any luckier than running against Holcomb in 2020. And here you are.
This has been an interesting 24 hours.
what are you doing the final 4 or 5 days of the campaign? What's going on with you?
We are getting out we're texting, we are being public, and we are just finishing out the message. So we've been active in person across the state, and yes, traveling across the state does not prohibit you from joining a debate. So that's a fact too. One can do both. And we are responding to interests and just getting ready to be present on Election Day, outside polls and getting our message out.
Jeff Moore, the Libertarian candidate for Secretary of State. If people want to learn more about you, how can they do that?
There's a website, maureforindiana.com. That's MAURERFOR, Indiana.com. And if you put a /debate at the end of that, you too can watch the debate that did actually happen.
93 WIBC, it's Kendall and Casey Show.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hammer Nigel here for Window Nation. Get ready to have a blast of winter. Yeah, that next brutal blast of wicked, wild, and windy weather's on its way. And the only thing going down is the temperature. Costs are up, but you can cut your energy bills by up to 30%, increase your home's value, and get amazing savings. Call Window Nation today. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free with no interest payments until 2025.
With Window Nation's precision installation, your new windows will lock out the cold, blocking even the smallest draft, and keep your energy bills lower. And with 0% interest till 2025, you'll have plenty of extra cash for your holiday spending. Make your home truly warm, comfortable, and inviting. Call Window Nation today, 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com. Get 2 windows free with every 2 that you buy, 0% interest until 2025. 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com. Discover why over 250,000 homeowners say Window Nation is the perfect fit.
Inflating prices aren't stopping anytime soon, and that kitchen or bath remodel you've been thinking about, if you wait any longer, it's just going to get more and more expensive. You need to be planning right now. Tony Katz for Boer Remodeling. Get in touch with Boer now to get on the schedule for 2023 and avoid some of those price increases. Boer Remodeling aims to be the finest remodeler in Central Indiana with the best materials and most skilled craftsmen. They'll guide you through the entire process to make your vision come to life. Boer Remodeling, BOOHER. Talk to BoerRemodeling.com to set up your free consultation.
Diamonds Direct's legendary pre-holiday sale is coming November 11th through 13th. You get instant savings, 20% off virtually everything. Plus, top jewelry designers are flying in with their entire collections, all on sale. An expanded selection of rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, all new fashion jewelry. Lowest prices of the year. Shop early for the holidays and save big. Get special financing too. Details at diamondsdirect.com. It's 3 days only. Mark your calendar. November 11th, 12th, and 13th at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Let's face it, the housing market has shifted. The Indiana Board of Realtors report home sales are down 11% from this time last year. But you can still sell your home for a great price with the only agent that we would trust, Mark Dietl. And I get it. You're worried you're going to miss the boat on selling for maximum price. Mark Dietl is the only real estate expert that the Hammer and Nigel Show recommends and trusts with the sale of our homes. He's the only one that can guarantee an offer in 3 days at full market value, or he will list it for free. If you don't believe us, ask Paul and Marcy. They're from Indy. They got married and they were excited to begin their new life together, but they had an extra condo they needed to sell. Mark Dietl got it sold over the price. Mark Dietl, 317-755-4500. 4232 or go to markdietel.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietel.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Don't let higher interest rates stop you from getting the home of your dreams. We will refinance you with no fees anytime 6 months after your original closing. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The blame game over oil. It's sunny and 54 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. President Biden continues to accuse oil companies of war profiteering and threatening them with a new tax. That sort of rhetoric isn't sitting well with the energy industry.
Americans deserve energy security, and it's time our federal government treated oil and natural gas like an asset, not a liability.
Todd Staples heads up the Texas Oil and Gas Association. He says it's the president's own policies that affect the price at the pump. ExxonMobil reported its highest earnings ever at nearly $20 billion for the latest quarter on Friday. Elon Musk plans to cut 3,700 jobs at Twitter, and a report says that the billionaire plans on firing at least half of the workforce at the social media company and will inform the affected staff members at the end of this week. Musk recently completed the purchase of Twitter before firing the CEO and CFO. The Purdue Boilermakers looked good in their exhibition opening game against Truman State at Mackey Arena last night. Head coach Matt Painter on some of the positives.
But we've been good at getting to the glass. We've been good at offensive rebounding and now making decisions when you get that. A lot of the offensive rebounds aren't just right at the goal putbacks. You have some of them, you like that, but now can you get those spray out threes? Now can you get a spray out three that ends up into a rotation?
Meanwhile, the Indiana Hoosiers have St. Francis tonight. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. Love it. I must be out or I pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home.
Perfect. I like the new intro.
My buddy Bart, who is a huge fan of the show, said you should absolutely make this your intro for today for the voicemail. So I said, we love to try to make the people happy.
Done. I like it. It is 10:32 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and it is time for your voicemails. Of course, the number 317-684-8444 if you would like to contribute.
We got so many calls yesterday about Diego and that interview he did with Tony.
Yeah.
Where he said he didn't participate in the debate because there wasn't a debate. And look, is WIBC the end-all, be-all in terms of how the vote is going to go? No. But I think it's safe to say every person who listens to this radio station is engaged and will be voting. And we saw this the other night with WIBC before any of this stuff happened, how many people were coming up to us saying, we're voting third. Now, they weren't necessarily saying it about Todd Young, but they were saying it about Diego. We're voting for Jeff, voting for third party. This guy is. You've been right on this, whatever. And yesterday, I think for a lot of people was the straw that broke the camel's back, because they said, dude, if you will lie to us about whether there was a statewide televised debate, you will lie to us about anything. Now you put on top of this the stuff that came out today allegedly by James Briggs that he allegedly may have voted illegally in 2018. I think the guy's a disaster. And today's the first day that I thought to myself, he could lose. Up until today, I still thought he's still going to win. The state is still Republican enough people not knowing what's going on. But the thing yesterday and the potential illegal voting, which just looks like totally manipulating that you claim to live somewhere because of a congressional run. That's at least the way it comes off. People were pouring in on this thing yesterday. So here's some of the phone calls that we received on it. Take a listen.
So it's not often that Rob's right. Well, maybe Rob's always right. But he pegged this cowardly Diego guy to the wall months ago. I am so glad that I voted for the Libertarian when I placed my ballot earlier this week. Diego is a liar. Straight up liar, piece of garbage. However, like Rob said, all these cowardly so-called Republican, conservative independents are going to vote for him anyways, because if I vote for the Libertarian, I'm going to throw my vote away. Bunch of morons. Have a good day, Rob.
You know, and I had not heard the interview yesterday morning. I heard it yesterday afternoon with Tony Katz, and then I texted you and said, this interview is everything and nothing.
Yeah.
And you and I have been talking about this since April, and now it's finally sinking in.
Well, look, and I come at it a different perspective because I've known Diego for 10 years. I first met Diego when I was a county coordinator when Mike Pence was running for governor. And I have known Diego throughout various times over the past 10 years. And when I knew what Diego was when he decided in 2018, which is ironically when the allegation about illegal voting has now surfaced from, he said, I'm going to run for Secretary of State. And then he realized very quickly, I'm going to get my brains beat in by Connie Lawson, so I'm not going to run for Secretary of State. Okay, fine. Now I'm going to run for Congress. Wait, what? You're going to run for Secretary of State? Now you're going to run for Congress? So you're just looking for an office. You are just a man in search of an office, not, I think I would be really good at this, right, so I'm going to do this. And I also remember the time going, that dude doesn't live in the 4th Congressional District. And it took, 4 years, but apparently that's coming home. Look, this is who he is. He has no qualification to be Secretary of State. It is not a Republican or Democrat thing. It's a brutal incompetence thing. And I am so sick of brutally incompetent, undeserving people holding high-ranking public offices across this nation. I can't do much about most of them. I can do something about it here, which is why I've been telling you this stuff for months and months and months and months. Let's hear another call.
I had to call back in because maybe I was a little too tough on Diego Morales on an earlier call. I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. He did make sure everyone knew that he put over 180,000 miles on his personal vehicle. I mean, it has to mean something. I don't know what. Maybe he needs an oil change. I mean, does anybody care that how many miles he puts on his car? And why would you bring that up in an interview? And the sad thing about this is come Tuesday, a bunch of people are going to vote for these jokers. Diego Morales, Ryan Mears, Todd Young, and others. Anyway, love the show. Keep up the good work.
That's exactly what I had said to you, how he mentioned he put over 100,000 miles on his car, which was a vehicle purchased with his campaign funds.
Well, yeah, and he mentioned that too, but in the primary before he had the car, it was his car. But let's face it, he's not running a soup kitchen here. He's trying to hold statewide office, which basically pays a 6-figure salary plus benefits and retirement. And everything is taken care of for you. It was not like I did all this to help the Salvation Army. He was doing these things because he wanted to help himself. And they're paid for by somebody else. It's all campaign donations. It may have been his car, but the gas, the oil changes, the whatever. And clearly he made himself more than whole by purchasing a nearly $44,000 car with campaign money, which he will then drive until if he isn't elected. And then once he's elected, he will have a state-funded car. This guy was not doing it to help anyone but himself.
Well, and he even said in that interview with Tony Katz, when Tony was asking him about the debate, and he said, I do grassroots, and I've been to all 92 counties, and I've been in parades and expos, and then he said, but it's not about me. And as soon as you say it's not about me,
right,
you're saying it's about you.
Right. Okay, we did get, and I noticed this is getting fewer and fewer, but we did get someone who tried. It was interesting yesterday when the story broke, when he did the interview, and we, of course, obviously came out of the gate with it. There were people who were initially the Diego people who were still trying to defend him, and those tapered off throughout the course of the show because every time you hear the interview with Katz, it's more and more wholly ridiculous because at first it's like there was no debate. Well, yeah, there was. Yeah, but there weren't other debates. Other people weren't debating. Okay, but that's different than there weren't a debate. And you claim to be upset that Jennifer Ruth Green is not getting a debate with Mervan, or that Cindy Carrasco is not getting a debate with Ryan Mears, or whatever the ones who were. But then why aren't you debating? Okay, that doesn't make sense. Well, I'm crisscrossing and going all over the 92 counties, and you can meet me at Black Expo and whatever the other place was. Yeah, dude, meeting you at Black Expo is not the same as a formal debate.
Right.
I mean, it just, he knew in the middle of the interview, and I think Tony Kennett said this yesterday, what an egregious mistake he had made by trying to claim the most ridiculous thing he could have claimed, which was there was no debate. All right, speaking of ridiculous, and one of those defenders, here is someone, and look, thank you for listening. I love that you listen to our show. We appreciate you, but I'm about to shred this next phone call. Go.
Boy.
Hey, Rob and Casey, I'm just getting a chance to tune in. It's a little late today, but I just caught that blip of Tony Katz interviewing Diego Morales. And I did find out over the last week and a half that the League of Women Voters, if you're not aware of who backs them, are highly, highly supported by the Democratic Party. Huge contributors to the League of Women. They are not a unbiased group of women. And one of the things that I found out is that, I'm sure Diego won't say this, but they were going to pin him down big time on the abortion issue and shut him down immediately with that question. And I think maybe he was smart for not going because he would have been put in a box right away. And the League of Women Voters are only reaching out to the majority of women that are Democrat and trying to sway the Republicans to think that their rights will be taken away. I just feel like this is something that maybe needs to be a little investigated because the League of Women Voters really they're not on our side. They're not conservative women at all. They're basically liberal, backed by big money from the Democratic Party. Just thought I'd put that out there. This is Cindy. I'm hoping you get this message.
Okay, look, and I understand with every candidate, if you have an affinity for a person, there is a moment where it is like the episode of The Simpsons where Ralph Wiggum's heart breaks in two when Lisa Simpson says, "I don't like you, I never liked you." And that is the feeling when you find out someone you've put some time and effort and energy into is not only a colossal failure, they're also a colossal fraud. And maybe that's what this person is going through.
Betrayal.
Right, but let's walk through this, okay? First of all, whoever put on the debate, it doesn't matter because the moderator is who controls the floor.
And the questions were submitted from viewers.
Right. And the moderator was Dr. Laura Wilson, who is an esteemed professor at UIndy. She is on this radio station on a bevy of shows all the time. She has, all the years I've been listening to her, never been anything but classy and fair and upstanding. She's great when she's on Hammer and Nigel, when she's on Abdul. So you would have to believe in order to say that it's not like Mike Schmuel headed the Democrats. It's the League of Women Voters, moderated by Pete Buttigieg. No, the moderator is key. It's like a referee in a boxing match. The moderator is the key to the debate, and no person in the history of ever has said Dr. Laura Wilson is anything other than fair, which she was in the debate that we watched without Diego Morales. Jeff Moore took the questions. Destiny Wells took the questions. Dr. Laura moderated that colossally disastrous debate between Todd Young, Siniak, and McDermott. But that wasn't her fault. Those three were all just terrible. She did great in both of the debates. That is a total cop-out to say, well, the League of Women Voters. Who cares? Your view on any topic is your view on any topic. That is your view. If your view is of sound mind and rooted in reality, how is somebody going to pin you down on it? Diego did not debate because Diego did not want to answer the following questions. And it has nothing to do with his view on abortion. Diego did not want to answer the following questions. Were you fired by Todd Rokita's office? Why were you about to be fired by Charlie White's office before you quit? What the hell do you do for a job, and how does it appear you're never there, but despite your business acumen being a reason for people to vote for you? What the hell is going on with your military record? Why did you waste almost $44,000 on a campaign car? What about these allegations by these women? he didn't want to answer those questions, and so he didn't show up. And I guess I think the allegation about the women may have actually been after the debate, so maybe that wasn't what. But you get the point. There is so much bull crap in Diego's existence, including what came out today, that allegedly he may have illegally voted in 2018 while he's running on an election integrity platform. It isn't because of abortion. It isn't because of legal women voters. He didn't want to answer the questions because there are no good answers for those questions.
Well, let's keep in mind, Secretary of State cannot legislate on the abortion topic. It doesn't matter what his position is because he doesn't get a say in it.
You have four departments you oversee as Secretary of State. Jeff Moore, and to an extent, Destiny Wells. And look, we have a lot of problems with Destiny Wells, but she did a fine job of, as did Jeff, of articulating what those things are. They have different views on how they would handle them, but that's the job. Diego did not show up, not because he didn't know there was a debate, not because he was worried about the League of Women Voters, not because he was worried about the question he was going to get on a specific policy topic. He didn't show up because he doesn't have, nor has he ever had answers to those questions, because much of Diego's life has involved cutting corners to benefit himself.
Diego.
Yes, bingo.
Yeah.
All right, Hammer's next.
It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel show, more on the midterm elections. Plus, we'll go off the rails with Rob Kendall. That's at 3 o'clock, 93 WIBC.
There's a lot of sexy content on the internet. And there's WIBC, full of faces meant for radio. Hammer and Nigel, Kendall and Casey. Okay, Casey could be on TV. Now streaming every day on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/WIBC.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all of your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, fastest way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
At Simply Safe Home Security, we know in an emergency, the clock is ticking. So we designed an advanced security system powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture video evidence and verify a threat. Then alert police so you get faster police response. Right now, get 40% off any new system. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save big today. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
At Shane Company, we know that love and meaning can be captured in a beautiful piece of fine jewelry. That's why we offer so many options to make your holiday gift even more personal. Jewelry with a birthstone makes a wonderful gift because it holds so much significance. Shane Company has unique styles with birthstones for every month of the year. Diamonds, cultured pearls, rubies, opals, and more. Why not create a necklace with her birthstone and then add a charm for good luck? A necklace with the first letter of her name lets her know how important she is to you. And our gold letter charms sparkle with diamond accents. Or select an engravable style. Give your loved one a bracelet inscribed with the place you met so they'll never forget that moment. Or capture your strong connection with a promise ring inscribed with both of your initials. Our jewelry consultants will make it easy. At Shane Company, we give you so many ways to create gifts infused with meaning. Treasures they'll have forever.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
It's time to vote, Indy. Now is the time to make a voting plan and make sure your vote counts. Now through November 7th, the day before Election Day, you can vote early at one of the 9 early vote centers in Marion County. Go to vote.indy.gov to find all the early voting locations, sample ballots, and more. Make a plan and make your vote count at vote.indy.gov. Message paid for by the Marion County Election Board.
Pat Sullivan here from Sullivan Hardware and Garden and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan. The Christmas season. I just love it. Won't you join us this Thursday through Sunday for our Christmas open house at all of our locations? You'll find the best prices of the season on Christmas gifts, ornaments, collectibles, accents, and more. Come in and pick up your open house coupons for additional savings up to 50% off select items. You'll also want to look at Indiana's largest selection of pre-lit Christmas trees ranging from 2 to 14 foot tall. And this Thursday through Sunday, save an extra 10% off all artificial Christmas trees, already reduced 30%. And again, at our 71st and Keystone store, climb aboard the Sullivan Express train and visit Santa. Book your tickets at sullivanhardware.com. Best prices of the season this Thursday through Sunday. Sullivan Hardware and Garden, 71st and Keystone, 49th and Penn in Cicero, and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan, 114th and Allisonville Road in Fishers.
Introducing Spectrum One. Get Spectrum Internet with speeds of 300 megabits per second, advanced Wi-Fi with best-in-class security and privacy, Spectrum Mobile with unlimited talk, text, and data plus nationwide 5G. Get it all with Spectrum One. Spectrum Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and one line of Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for only $49.99 a month. Visit Spectrum.com or a Spectrum store today. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
School buses are densely packed spaces with poor ventilation, making the school bus the weakest link in a school's efforts to reduce disease transmission. Go to schoolbusair.com to learn more.
It's the Home and Garden Show live from Sullivan Hardware and Garden at 71st and Keystone. Join Pat, Denny, and the gang and kick off the holiday season at Sullivan's with great deals on home decor to help you get ready for the season.
10:51 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and Hammer's joining us in the studio. Good morning.
Thank God you're back. Because the people trying to fill in for you, they just can't do it as well as you do.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank
and I'm
you.
one of them. I filled in for an hour yesterday impromptu, and I stink. I'm no good.
No, I'm sure that was just awesome. You guys together for a whole hour.
Did you hear about what happened yesterday?
What?
How Kennett just left in the middle of the show?
You know what? Kevin told me that he didn't think Tony realized that we were on until noon, and he's like, I got a meeting.
Has subbed on this show multiple times.
I got a thing.
And he, like at 11 o'clock, he's like, oh, this show goes until noon?
Yeah.
Yeah, like every other time you've been here?
Yeah.
And so he just goes, I got to take this call. I mean, not that I can't do a show by myself, but it would be a little weird if you had done a show with someone.
Yeah.
Because the first day you were gone, I did it by myself.
You did.
It's fine.
And you did a great job.
But then it's like, wait, what? You're gonna
go? Well, I'm just appreciative of Mindy and Tony and Hammer for, carrying the weight while I was gone. Thank you guys.
Rob and I are always around here. In case of emergency, break glass, and we will be around this
what's
joint.
really funny is a lot of people were saying online to me that they thought that I was going to be the Nigel of 2023. Disappearing.
I love that's an award now.
Yeah.
The nominees for the Nigel of 2023 are...
Hey, you asked an interesting question before we came on air.
Does anybody that's not a hardcore Politico, somebody like we are, do they actually care about the Secretary of State race?
Yeah.
Because we've been talking a lot about the Secretary of State race and Diego Morales, Destiny Wells, Libertarian candidate. We've been spending a lot of time on it. But if you go into the average grocery store, barbershop, restaurant, even people who follow the news, do you think they know who any of these people are?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think what you saw in 2020 is with Rainwater, he cleaned up, especially by libertarian standards, in our listening area. A lot of counties, he got second place and he beat the Democrat. But then you go to the corners, like Fort Wayne, and I think he got like 5% because nobody else is like us in the sense of we not only find ways
us
to talk.
Being WIBC.
Yes, we make things fun and interesting that are normally boring because they are important, and that's why our ratings are so good.
I think that if you go to the corners of northern Indiana, St. Joe County, you go to Howell or even Lake County, no, it's not going to matter as much.
Because they're going to vote blue anyway.
Well, they're just not going to be as informed as maybe the central Indiana listeners because WIBC doesn't reach to those corners, and they're just going to go into that booth and say, Okay, so this is the guy who's running on the Republican ticket. I'll just punch that button.
Right. Well, if they're up in Lake County, they're probably voting twice for the Democrat
Right.
candidate. But you're right. Like the hate mail that we get at WIBC is, oh, you guys are right-wing propagandists, rabble. We rip on Republicans an awful lot around here. Rob, this is kind of your bread and butter. Nige and I have ripped on Republicans before. We do it all the time. We've had back and forths with candidates on the air before. Like, I don't know if other stations do that, right?
That's why our ratings are so great.
Right. They don't do that up in Fort Wayne.
No.
Those butt sniffers up there in Fort Wayne. Whoa. Won't you actually be a little... tough on some of these turd Republicans.
Nobody gets a free pass.
Yeah,
That's Kendall's mantra.
Yeah, let's face it, Diego Morales and Todd Young are definitely not worth dying on some Republican hill. What's coming up this afternoon?
You're going to come by. We'll continue this conversation when we go off the rails.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Thanks, Hammer.
What QC Kinetics is doing for people here in Indy is nothing short of amazing. So if you have joint pain, any joint pain, by the way, you need to call QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving lasting relief. So no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. QC Kinetics started with one clinic last year, but the demand has been so strong they now have clinics in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and more on the way. Modern advances in regenerative medicine allow these medical professionals to take the remarkable healing properties from your own body, concentrate them for maximum power, and put them directly into your aching joints so your damaged tissue can be repaired and restored naturally. So many people are living their best life again, pain-free, thanks to QC Kinetics. So if you have pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, your back, do not let them keep you on steroids, and don't believe surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics right now in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. It's a free consultation. Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN.
Guy Relford here. Time again for the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show this coming weekend at the State Fairgrounds, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's never been a more important time to exercise our rights as true Americans. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See the best in sporting, hunting, and personal protection gear, plus great displays of Americana. Come see us this weekend at the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show, Friday 2 to 7, Saturday 9 to 6, and Sunday 9 to 4. It's the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show. See you there.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family-owned for 50 years, helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Hey, Kate. So you think we got tar spot?
In that field east of the river, for sure. That's why I'd go with that Brevant Seeds Corn Hybrid.
You got those soil test results?
Yep. We'll want to increase your potash recommendation.
Should I be using a pre-emerge for Mare's Tail?
Absolutely. And soon.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Nope. A hot dog is a hot dog.
If it matters in ag, your retailer knows it. That's why at Brevant Seeds, we work only with retailers. Find yours at Brevant.com.
'Tis the season to get Diamonds Direct's unbeatable price plus an extra 20% off virtually everything. Yes, it's happening next weekend, November 11th through 13th. 3 days of spectacular store-wide savings. All rings, all earrings, all pendants, all bracelets, all on sale. This is the last store-wide sale of the year. Now is the time to shop and save. Designers are here with their entire line, all at the lowest prices of the year, plus special financing. Details at DiamondsDirect.com. It's November 11th, 12th, and 13th only. And only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Trust 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning to help keep your heater running strong. Call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourair.com.
Always on time or you don't pay time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Find out why so many Americans are getting relief with a simple cash-out refinance. How much cash can you get? Visit thehomeloanexpert.com. NMLS number 1326241.
Coming up in 2 minutes, charges being dropped for one man and some possible movement on the other case that he's connected to. Plus, John Herrick reports on how an argument ended in Anderson between two men. All that and more coming up from the Shepherd Community Center studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
No matter who wins, accept the results. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. That's from President Biden in his speech calling election lies a threat to democracy. He blames former President Trump for leading us here by continuing to claim that he won the 2020 election.
It's a lie that fueled the dangerous rise in political violence and voter intimidation over the past 2 years.
The president campaigns for Democrats in New Mexico and California today. Former President Trump has a rally in Iowa this evening. Now, he settled a lawsuit filed by a group of protesters who say they were roughed up by his security guards in 2015 during the presidential campaign, and he's also suing New York's attorney general.
James has filed a $250 million lawsuit against the Trump family, accusing them of inflating his net worth and cheating lenders with false financial statements. The former president filed a civil lawsuit against Letitia James in Florida, both as an individual and in her role as New York AG. The 41-page court filing accuses her of mounting a, quote, crusade against him, and he wants the judge to shield his revocable trust. A statement from James' office says, quote, no number of lawsuits will deter us from pursuing this fraud.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Votes are still being counted, but former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is expected to return to power for a third time.
Israeli police said they faced violent protest when raiding the West Bank home of a man who was shot dead after ramming a checkpoint guard with his car. They say they shot and killed a Palestinian who hurled a firebomb. Meanwhile, in East Jerusalem, another Palestinian shot after stabbing a police officer. The deaths are the latest in a wave of violence that's killed more than 130 Palestinians this year. A political shift is underway in Israel, with an incoming right-wing government promising to take tougher action against attackers. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The Powerball lottery jackpot is up to $1.5 billion, with no one hitting all the numbers last night. 2, 11, 22, 35, 16, and a Powerball 23. The next drawing Saturday night, and the jackpot could be a world record by then. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They might be dropping charges. It's sunny and 56 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Prosecutors in Miami County want to drop some of the charges against Keegan Kline. He's the man investigators say is behind the fake online profile used to get sexual pictures from underage girls. Prosecutors want to drop 5 of those charges due to a lack of evidence. Kline has also been tied to the Delphi murder investigation, though he is not facing any charges in that case. Meanwhile, Richard Allen was arrested Friday and charged with the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German in 2017 in Delphi. You may know more about why the cops have arrested him soon. A judge will hear arguments about why the prosecutor believes that the arrest documents should remain sealed on November 22nd. 2 men got into an argument in Anderson,
and one of them shot the other one with a crossbow. I'm John Herrick. Police say it happened Wednesday afternoon. They say the man who shot the crossbow is Frederick Clam. They're trying to figure out what the argument was about. Clam's now facing criminal charges. Police say the man who Clam shot, though, is expected to be okay. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A man was shot and died in his own yard south of Cloverdale Wednesday night. Chris Davis reports that the crooks got away.
State police describe it as a home invasion. Gillard Garcia Salinas shot it out with the 2 people who busted into his house. Cops say when they got there, Salinas was already wounded and died soon after. Not much of a description of the 2 people who got away. This was at a house near the intersection of State Road 231 and North Cataract Road. Call state police if you know anything. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Many Hoosiers seem to be getting screened for breast and colon cancer, which is great, except the leading cause of cancer deaths is lung cancer.
It's kind of shocking, I think, too, is another initial reaction for me when comparing these lung screening rates to other preventative screenings.
Mackenzie Church with the End Cancer Now initiative at IU says far fewer people are getting screened for lung cancer, so she urges you to get screened early. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a thank you to our loyal customers for making our agency a national sales leader for the 7th straight year. We recently saved a family of 4 over $500 monthly when compared to their ACA plan. You know it's still Obamacare, right? We recently saved a 61-year-old retiring couple over $600 when compared to their COBRA plan. Breaking news! We are now able to offer health insurance to employer groups of all sizes with 2 of the largest insurers in the Midwest. We've been in the same location with the same phone number for 27 years. We'll be here when you need us. Quoting my favorite president, what in the heck do you have to lose? Call me at 317-435-1718 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-435-1718 or rragency.org. Don't let the federal government or their big insurance company cronies tell you that you don't have a choice. We can help. As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by thehomeloanexpert.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The Republican Party in Indiana sees zero problem in record spending, in record taxation.
And Casey Daniels.
You went out there and said, please vote for me. You debated other people on why you're the better person for the position. Suck it up.
This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Thursday, November 3rd, and trending this hour, the World Series Game 4. The Astros pitching staff completed only the second no-hitter in World Series history during their 5-0 win. The series is now tied 2-2. First Lady Joe Biden weighed in on it. She said there are some things that rise above partisan lines, and then she took a jab at the Houston Astros, saying, like wanting to see the Astros lose. Also trending this hour, the Powerball. There is still no winner in the Powerball. The jackpot is now up to a staggering $1.5 billion. And finally trending this hour, Godzilla. It was today that the world was introduced to Godzilla in 1954, the movie Godzilla, and the character. It is 6 minutes after 11 with Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC, and Joe Biden launched his war on American energy on his very first day in office, shutting down domestic energy production, making us reliant on our enemies. The State Department has consulted with environmental groups on policies, including a potential coal investment ban. And now the Biden climate czar, the envoy, John Kerry, is saying that Biden's plans are to accelerate eliminating fossil fuels.
For the most part, now it's not true obviously with everything, but for the most part, the circumstances of your life are largely your fault. And there's a famous line from The Office where Michael Scott asks somebody, do you want your life to be better, worse, or exactly the same? Mm-hmm. And based on what you want your life to be, you make decisions around that pretty simplistic thing. You laugh at it, but it's really true. Do you want your life to be better, worse, or stay exactly the same? And with every choice you make, does my life get better, worse, or stay exactly the same by this choice? And in the case of what is going on in this country, it's easy to say Biden sucks, Biden's awful, blah, blah, blah. All true. Society put him there. Maybe with some creative jelly bean counting, election night, November 2020. But there are still tens of millions of people who legally, I think it is beyond dispute, cast a vote for Joe Biden and other Democrats. And as it is now, Democrats control the House and the Senate and the presidency. Mm-hmm. And so this is the question you should be asking yourself as you vote in certain races. Do you want your life to be better, worse, or stay exactly the same? And cast the vote on which candidate will make your life better, worse, or exactly the same. And in the case of energy, John Kerry is very clear that when it comes to Biden, they want to accelerate getting rid of fossil fuels. That is who the Democrats are. That is what they will continue doing unless you vote for someone else who will stop them. Don't take my word for it. Take John Kerry's word for it.
So if we accelerate these efforts, which is what technology and entrepreneurial activity help us to do, this is going to change even faster. And so that's where I draw enormous hope and some optimism, because I believe we can still make this happen. But we have to make the right decisions and implement those decisions.
They think everything, they being the Biden administration, think everything is fine right now. In fact, they think it needs to be much more of what's happening right now. You can't complain. Like, if you see a rattlesnake and you are across the street away from the rattlesnake and somebody goes, hey, there's a rattlesnake over there, you ought not go near that rattlesnake. If you say, no, I want to go over and pet the rattlesnake, and the rattlesnake bites you, that is not the fault of the rattlesnake. It is the fault of you for enabling yourself to be near enough to and putting yourself in a position to be bit by the rattlesnake. We as a society have walked up to the rattlesnake. We have put our hand out to try to pet the rattlesnake, and the rattlesnake has bit us and is destroying the American way of life. You can either do something about it and fix it this fall, or accept that the poison is going to keep coursing through your veins.
Yeah, so the Biden war on fossils has been a disaster. I mean, it's contributed to high inflation. It's killed family budgets. Our wages aren't the same. They don't mean as much. It's led to recession. It's damaged our security, not only here at home, but also internationally. And yet we have his entire cabinet jetting around the world, wasting the same fossil fuels that they say they want to ban.
Yeah, okay, so that's a great point. So our governor here, Lockdown McGee, High Tax Holcomb, whatever you want to call him, is going to get on a plane to fly to Egypt to be a part of some sort of climate conference. Eric Holcomb will burn more fuel to Egypt and back than I will this entire year, okay? That plane that he's on. And yet we're led to believe, well, I'm some sort of hero because I go to a conference on climate change. No, none of you people are heroes. The vast majority of stuff you talk about is made up nonsensical bullcrap that is designed to manipulate behavior. You guys have been predicting the end of the world for almost 50 years now on this climate change. The initial Earth Day was about global cooling. You totally just pull it out of your backsides and make it up as you go along. Now, another big issue with the Biden administration, in addition to wanting to do things that are going to harm you, is the way they prioritize things. And so last night, ahead of the election, we're a week out from the election, society is largely in shambles based on what the American way of life should be. Food, record prices. Gas has been or is at or near record prices. Getting things, incredibly difficult in many cases. The border, completely out of control. I mean, there's a number of things Joe Biden could have said, I'm going to have a big press conference about and discuss how I'm going to make better. And he chose to use his time essentially threatening that if Republicans win, that there could be calamity in society.
You're going to destroy democracy.
And he reduced himself. And this is, again, he's done it before. We all remember the big blood red background that, looked like it was something out of V for Vendetta. So this is not the first time he's done it. Where last night he chose to compare Paul Pelosi's attack done by a uber liberal BLM supporting nudist hippie to January 6th.
All this happened after the assault. And it just, it's hard to even say. It's hard to even say. After the assailant entered the home asking, where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? Those are the very same words used by the mob when they stormed the United States Capitol on January the 6th. When they broke windows, kicked in the doors, brutally attacked law enforcement, roamed the corridors, hunting for officials, and erected gallows to hang the former Vice President Mike Pence. It was an enraged mob that had been whipped up into a frenzy by a president repeating over and over again the big lie that the election of 2020 had been stolen. It's a lie that fueled the dangerous rise in political violence and voter intimidation over the past 2 years.
This is a guy who has not only not solved any of America's problems,
he's created some.
He's created them. He's made the ones that existed worse. And what he chooses to spend his time on, because, well, he may not know this because he may not know his name or where he's at, but what the people who control him know is that the American people are sick of this bull crap. They're sick of being demonized. They're sick of being villainized. They're sick of we're always doing something wrong. We as good and decent people are always doing something wrong. We are always the problem, when in reality, government is the problem, and they know, they being the Democrats and Biden's handlers, they're about to go down. They're about to yell timber, and the only chance they've got, I guess they feel, because the abortion playbook didn't work, and that blew up in their face, now is if you elect Republicans, every day will be January 6th. The guy with Paul Pelosi, who knows what the real story about that is,
right?
But on its face, it's a nudist, hippie, BLM flag flying person from San Francisco. That is not.
Sounds like just like a conservative. Doesn't
the base of the Republican Party, pal.
No.
There are. Let's accept nude, hippie, BLM flag flying guy on his face, and let's pretend there's nothing more to it than it is what it is. There are crazy people in the world. There are 330 plus million people in this country. We encounter them every day. There are people who are not well mentally. There are people who are not playing with the full deck of cards, and they do crazy and stupid stuff. Somebody shot John Lennon. Someone shot Ronald Reagan. These people exist. It is not. They always make it as though there are a society full of these people. The overwhelming majority of people are good and decent people who contribute to America, and I am so sick of being demonized by this guy who has done nothing but make America worse for his entire 50-plus year political career.
That speech that he gave came across as desperate and dishonest. It was a last-ditch effort because they know what is coming. He promised unity, and instead he is demonizing, he's smearing, all while he's making it extremely expensive for all of us.
Hey, when we come back,
AOC
is very, very upset about having to pay $8 for a blue check mark. Okay, we have to talk about this.
She having a spat with Elon? That's on the way from 93 WIBC.
This could be the most consequential midterm election in decades. Who will represent us in Congress and the State House?
Who will oversee our future elections?
You have a voice with your one vote.
Not happy with the current state of affairs with the country? You can do something about it.
Voting is one of our most important rights as Americans.
It's how you can stand up for your beliefs,
your values, and for future generations. A reminder to make your vote count on November 8th.
From WIBC
and Urban One.
If you are looking for a new church home or even a first church home, check out Life Church. We talk about Life Church all the time. Last couple Sundays, I've been up in Noblesville at Life Church. That community is awesome. They're so warm. They're so welcoming. Life Church, that's where a friend of the show, Pastor Micah Beckwith, preaches. Life Church has campuses in Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, in addition to online services. Learn more at their website, lifechurchin.com.
If you could bottle this, Smith can shoot the three and hits the three. Everyone will want some. That's the kind of energy flowing around Pacers Nation. We are roaring. Here's another three. Torches! We are ready to rise and show the world what we're about. And here's Turner hammering it down. We are revved up.
Your Pacers return home against the Miami Heat Friday at 7. Tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers, Heat, Friday at 7.
At Simply Safe Home Security, your safety is the only thing that matters. So this holiday season, we're giving you 40% off any new system, because feeling secure in your home is a gift that everyone deserves. Named Best Home Security of 2022 by U.S. News & World Report, Simply Safe protects your whole home with advanced technology, powered by 24/7 professional monitoring. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save 40% today. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
The Inflation Reduction Act made more subsidy money available to help qualified people who don't get health insurance on the job and early retirees afford their Obamacare plans. At myhealthinsurance.com, they specialize in helping you find the right plan that works best for you. Visit myhealthinsurance.com to see if you're eligible for a subsidy. Shop and enroll online or find a local licensed insurance agent. MyHealthInsurance.com is a brand owned by IHC Specialty Benefits Incorporated, an independent licensed insurance agency. MyHealthInsurance.com.
Last chance. Still need an Indie Decorative Concrete patio? Schedule a free estimate before Thanksgiving to lock in this year's pricing for next year's install. Backyard living starts at IndieDecorativeConcrete.com. That's IndieDecorativeConcrete.com.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
Let me warn you, he's a bad dude.
And Casey Daniels.
She's something,
She is magnificent.
On 93 WIBC.
So Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called out Elon Musk, the new CEO of Twitter, for trying to sell free speech. Of course, that made Elon retort back at her, "Your feedback is appreciated. Now pay $8." This is all in regards to his tweets that he's been sending out about the blue check, the verification, and what that means.
Yeah, this is the left's response to, and we talked about this earlier, the reason the left is so upset is because liberalism depends on and thrives on stymieing other points of view, because when liberalism has to be explained or held accountable, it just immediately falls apart because for the most part it is wholly ridiculous. And Elon Musk buying Twitter and now opening it up, not just to the people who will come back, but doing things like fact-checking Biden on the ridiculous claim that he and his administration got people the Social Security cost of living increase. Those are things that were not happening that are going to start happening. And for someone like AOC, it is a great example of how much they believe they're entitled to your stuff. We heard with Donald Trump when he got banned. You're not entitled to be on this platform. They're a private company. They can do as they see fit. If you don't play by the rules, you're out of here, Buster. Well, now it's not even being on the platform. They're upset about a stupid, meaningless blue check mark. Like, I am entitled to that blue check mark. Who are you to take away my blue check mark? Well, I'm the person who owns this freaking company, so I can take away whatever I want at any time.
So Elon Musk is proposing to charge users $8 a month for that verification check mark. And he said you're also going to get priority in replies, mentions, and searches, ability to post long-form video and audio, plus half as many ads. Now, here's the deal. This is a business. This is now his business. You use the product, pay for it.
Yeah, it's no different than like getting into your favorite club. You don't have a right to be in that club, which is why if the club is exclusive enough, they charge a cover to get in. They also charge a premium based on what sort of service you may want while you're in the club. They'll put limits on who comes in the club. They'll put a dress code on who comes in the club. They prioritize women in the club because that's where men would want to be. This happens all the time in every facet of society. And look, I have no right to be on Twitter. It's a private company. If Elon Musk wants to boot me tomorrow, okay, great. I had a good run. Same thing with Facebook. It's not government controlled. I have no right to be there. I have no right to a blue check mark. Elon Musk can charge $8, $80, 80 cents, whatever he wants to charge to have some stupid, meaningless blue check mark. But if you are the Democrats, if you are super liberals like AOC who depend on the stymieing of free speech and using other people's stuff to prop up your own existence, then yes, you would be hyper offended by this.
A lot of people are lashing out in disagreement over this. Stephen King, for example, he said that he's not going to pay for the blue check and that Twitter should be paying him. So now leaving Twitter is now I'm moving to Canada.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. Bye-bye.
Yes, you have every right to leave. We hope you do leave. And you are seeing who the left is by the fact that for one time there is, and Elon Musk isn't even a conservative. He's just like, I want free speech.
He wants his business to make money.
Yes, and they can't stand that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of this. And it's a capitalistic society. Do it. Make money.
Hey, Casey.
Yeah.
Now, Biden, before his big press conference last night, where he basically said, if you vote Republican, you're voting for January 6th again, he had another little press conference. And in classic Biden fashion, he said he's creating an economy that works for everybody. Casey, I'm going to play this audio here and ask you then how the economy is working for you.
Okay.
The economy that works for everybody. Through bold actions like this one, we're taking that vision to a reality. This is what it looks like when America comes together to get something done.
Yes, the Republicans and Democrats got together to raise the national debt by $30 trillion. It wasn't easy, lots of hard work, but they did it. Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Todd Young, Joe Biden, they all got together.
Is this working for you? Is this economy working for you?
No, and I'll tell you why. There's really 4 components to economies.
Yes.
There's production, consumption, investment, and distribution. And the purchasing power has been diminished because of inflation. So the 2 parts that really affect me would be the investment part. No, I'm not investing as much because of inflation. I'm not contributing as much to my 401k because that money is being used for other things like groceries and gasoline. And I'm not consuming as much for the exact same reason because I'm paying for groceries and higher price for gasoline. Therefore, I'm not out buying new clothes or spending loads of money on vacations. So we're kicking the can down the road. We've been kicking the can down the road, and the government's been spending money like it's a stay-at-home daughter on a spa day. Eventually, you got to take care of it, and now it's all coming to fruition at the same time. Is the economy working for me, Rob Kendall? No.
All right. When we come back, there is a big lawsuit that has now just started to finally get some attention because there was a ruling in part of this lawsuit the other day, and it could, depending on how it shakes out, have a profound impact on who can run for public office in the state of Indiana. It's a really great lawsuit challenging the wholly ridiculous, very corrupt ballot access laws we have in this state. So when we come back, one of the plaintiffs in the case, he's a phenomenal attorney here in Indianapolis. Our friend Mark Rutherford will be with us, tell us what this lawsuit's all about and how it might impact going forward on
future elections,
who can run and who you can vote for.
Okay, that's on the way from 93 WIBC.
Hun, have you seen my trapper hat with the ear flaps?
You mean that fuzzy one?
And what about my scouting vest?
Oh, no, Randy, no.
We need tires.
Right, but you don't have to go on some stupid hunt every time we need tires.
It's a quest for the best deal.
I called Tire Discounters. We saved $150 on our new Michelins, and they pick up and deliver.
What?
They already picked up the car.
Where's the fun in that?
Right now at Tire Discounters, the home of free alignment, you save up to $150 on Michelin tires.
Smart homeowners know that proper maintenance of their home's heater can save a bundle in the long run. Trust our comfort specialists at 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning to keep your heater running right. Whether you've got a furnace, heat pump, boiler, or any other type of heating system, a proactive tune-up can help keep you comfortable. Call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourair.com. We won't leave you waiting. Sing it with me.
Always on time or you don't pay on time. Always on time or you don't pay on time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
At Progressive, you can get 24/7 protection, even if you break the space-time continuum.
We did it. We time traveled to yesterday.
Wait, Progressive covers us 24/7, but we just created an 8-day week, and it's 24/7 coverage, not 24/8. We gotta go back.
Are you joking right now?
Shh, I'm calling them. Hi, I have a question about time travel.
Progressive offers more than a great price when you bundle home and auto. We offer round-the-clock protection, which literally means anytime. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers, and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Tony Katz here for Premier Arms in Brownsburg. This is your premier gun store. Premier Arms has the experience and know-how to help the new gun buyer and the most experienced marksman. They've been in business for over 20 years and have a friendly, knowledgeable staff that wants to help you, not talk down to you. Premier Arms in Brownsburg is family-friendly, so bring the kids. All ages are welcome. Everyone can find what they're looking for at Premier Arms in Brownsburg, 3754 South Green Street. Online at premierarms.com. Tell them Tony Katz sent you. Premierarms.com. Inflating prices aren't stopping anytime soon, and that kitchen or bath remodel you've been thinking about, if you wait any longer, it's just going to get more and more expensive. You need to be planning right now. Tony Katz for Boer Remodeling. Get in touch with Boer now to get on the schedule for 2023 and avoid some of those price increases. Boer Remodeling aims to be the finest remodeler in central Indiana with the best materials and most skilled craftsmen. They'll guide you through the entire process to make your vision come to life. Boer Remodeling, Booher. Talk to BoerRemodeling.com to set up your free consultation.
Denny Smith here for Sundown Gardens. Sundown still has plenty of quality nursery stock on sale, 20 to 50% off. It's still a great time to plant and save. And can you believe it? The Holiday Open House is just around the corner. The Sundown Holiday Open House is November 19th and 20th. There'll be fresh-cut trees available, fresh-cut greenery, and all holiday decor on full display. Samples, door prizes, and giveaways November 19th and 20th. Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundown.gardens.com.
Investing in education-based athletics builds strong communities in a strong, successful Indiana.
That's because when we support education-based athletics, we're not only supporting Hoosier student athletes, we're championing the next generation of doctors, CEOs, and engineers, not to mention future teachers, first responders, and civil servants. I'm Brian Lewis.
And I'm Chris Kaufman. We're both assistant commissioners of the Indiana High School Athletic Association.
High school sports are the training ground for our future community leaders, impact makers, and world changers.
When we invest in student athletes, we're teaching them the importance of serving others selflessly,
leading them to become engaged, compassionate citizens who pay it forward and continue building a positive future for Indiana and beyond.
Support the next generation of Hoosier difference makers by buying a ticket to your high school's athletic events.
This is serving our community. This is strengthening our future. This is your IHSAA.
Don't let higher interest rates stop you from getting the home of your dreams. We will refinance you with no fees anytime 6 months after your original closing. TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
When the weather turns severe, turn to the WIBC Storm Desk, presented by Technology Recyclers. Securely destroy electronic data. Visit tech-recyclers.com. 93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Out campaigning, I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. President Biden heading west today to help out fellow Democratic candidates. Fox's Jared Halpern.
New Mexico's Democratic governor will appear with President Biden at a community college in an afternoon fundraiser. Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is in a tough re-election against Republican challenger Mark Ricchetti. The president will then fly to San Diego to campaign with Democratic Congressman Mark Levin in a district rated as a toss-up in the latest Fox News power rankings. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The Federal Reserve isn't the only central bank raising interest rates in order to fight inflation. The Bank of England moved forward today with the same increase. It's the biggest spike in more than 30 years. Inflation there topped 10% in September. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Walked up to me and he asked me if I wanted to die. He looked kind of nice and so
93 WIBC, it's Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here, and there is a big legal case working its way through the system that could have a very big impact on how you vote here in Indiana, and more importantly, who can run and who you can vote for. So to get us up to date on this lawsuit, we bring in, he is one of the great legal minds in central Indiana and throughout the entire state for that matter, and also happens to be a plaintiff in the case, attorney at law, the great Mark Rutherford. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well this morning. This is great.
All right, so tell me about this lawsuit, because you are actually a plaintiff in this lawsuit that is about who can get on the ballot and who can run for public office.
That's right. This lawsuit, I'm a plaintiff as a part of the Libertarian Party of Indiana, Secretary of State candidate in 2018, and it does affect me on what decisions I make on whether I run for office, where, etc., because the lawsuit is about the ballot access requirements in Indiana, and we're alleging they're unconstitutionally burdensome along with the Green Party.
Yeah, they're just totally awful and corrupt. And we spend a lot of time on this show talking about the signature requirement. Like, in order to run as one of the two primary, the Democrats or Republicans, you got to get these 500 signatures for Senate or governor in all these congressional districts. And it's designed to keep people from running. And you guys are kind of piggybacking on that a little bit, saying many ballot access laws in Indiana are unconstitutional.
Right, that's what we're saying. That's just too hard to get on the ballot. It's not just a way to make sure you have some control. It's to keep others from being on it, and that's the problem with it. Right now, I forget the exact signature requirement to get on this year the ballot if you weren't already ballot access oriented, but it was in the 50s, 1,000.
Like if you want to run, say, as an independent candidate, because right now you guys have ballot access, the Republicans and Democrats, but if you were a person who says, look, I'm not a part of any political party, which many Hoosiers identify with that, you haven't, as a regular person, unless you're a very wealthy person like, say, Mike Braun, you got no shot at getting those signatures.
It's very hard. No one's done it since about 1990, or it's been about 22 years since anybody's done it last and was successful. They've tried, but they can't do it, or they just don't even try.
Okay, so your lawsuit is asking for what? Because you don't dispute, hey, there needs to be some sort of institutional control. We don't want 93 people on the ballot for, say, U.S. Senate. What do you guys want? What would you like to see?
We'd like to see the ballot access requirements to be constitutional, that they have some reason for having them other than to keep other people off the ballot. The way they are now, it's very hard for anybody to get on the ballot in Indiana when it comes to statewide office. And that's what we'd like to see. We'd like to see that the number of signatures required, and I'd even be fine with they did it for the Republicans and Democrats too. I think it's just onerous and burdensome, and it just takes way too much time and money just to get on the ballot if you're not on the ballot. And even if you're on the ballot, if you're a Republican or Democrat, it takes a lot of effort in a very short period of time to get on the ballot. It's not designed to get more voices involved and more ideas. It's designed to exclude.
Mark Rutherford is our guest. He's an attorney here in central Indiana. He's a plaintiff in a lawsuit, and we'll get to the big ruling the other day in this lawsuit, which is challenging ballot access laws in the state of Indiana. And Mark made a great point. These ballot access laws, maybe you could expand on this for a moment. It is not designed to get people on the ballot. Our ballot access laws in Indiana are designed to keep people off the ballot. And before you answer that, a great example of this is Rainwater obviously did very well in 2020. And the immediate reaction from the Republicans, Ethan Manning was the guy who authored this bill, was to say, not to look at ourselves and go as Republicans and say, why did so many people vote third party? What do we need to do to kind of win these people over? They said, no, let's just try to make it harder for libertarians to engage in the process. And they tried to pass a law that was going to put signature requirements on libertarians. The Republicans and Democrats do not want competition.
That's what you see from the actions. Look at what people do and how they do in the bills that are proposed. It got killed. It took a lot of work, but that tells you that most people who are already in power are trying to keep others from being there. Instead of what we have is in a democracy, in a constitutional republic, is we're supposed to have lots of voices out there talking. And if you have lots of voices talking, you have better ideas come out.
Let's talk about the big ruling that came down yesterday, because the state of Indiana is fighting you guys. Obviously, that's why that this thing is in court right now. You guys got a big win the other day.
Yes, we did. The lawsuit was filed. The state of Indiana filed a motion to dismiss, which is very common in constitutional cases. And the judge ruled that the motion to dismiss was not warranted, that there are a lot of factual issues that need to be resolved. And in a ballot access case, there's a lot of factual issues on determining whether or not there's a constitutional violation. And the nice thing he said was, there's a case about late 80s that said the 2% requirement was okay, although in some of the language in it, it said maybe with time it'll prove not to be okay. And he said, no, the fact that a court says 2% is fine is just very limited in that case, which was limited to 2%. Our case talks about everything involved with it, the time it takes, the money it takes, how it keeps parties from being able to do things that they want to do, like run for other offices. We have to run for Secretary of State,
right?
Whether we think is a good idea in this year or not. So,
and a great example of that is, say, Jeff Moore, who is an A-plus candidate. We'll talk about him in just a second. You guys said, hey, you got to kind of run for Secretary of State. What if he wanted to run for U.S. Senate? You say, no, we got to have our best person. We got to have our cleanup hitter running for Secretary of State because we got to get this 2% or we're off the ballot.
That's what you have to do if you want to stay on the ballot in Indiana if you're a minor party.
You got to run the safest, bestest candidate, which, congratulations, that was you in 2018. Mark Rutherford's our guest. He's an attorney here in central Indiana, talking about this ballot access lawsuit that has been filed. And again, we should all be cheering for libertarians and greens on this, whether you're a libertarian or green or not, because we want people who are interested in being engaged in civics, who are genuine in their belief of, I want to try to run, I want to try to put my ideas out there, to be involved in this process. Now, real quick, I did want to ask you, because obviously the big news came out today, according to James Briggs at IndyStar, that Diego Morales, the Republican nominee for Secretary of State, may have illegally voted in 2018. Can you clarify, you're a man of the law, your homestead tax credit, where you take your homestead credit, which Diego Morales, in this case, took his in Indianapolis while voting in Plainfield, that is where you live and that is where you're supposed to vote, right?
That's under Indiana law, that if you take homestead credit, it has to be to your primary residence. And if primary residence, as defined in the law on voting, can have several different ones, but I've got to tell you, if you have a homestead credit and you take that homestead credit, you're saying that's your primary residence, then that's, in my opinion, your primary residence for where you vote. There's a big I'm sorry to see that is what has come out.
Well, and he's going to have to answer this, right? I mean, because this is the sort of thing that got Charlie White, a similar thing, who was the Secretary of State, who ultimately was booted out because he did something very similar. This is a huge deal with huge implications. This isn't a political thing, right? This is a legal thing.
Well, it is a legal thing. It is also a little bit political, but it's mostly legal because you have to follow these laws. And if you're going to run for an office, you better follow the laws. If you don't like the laws, don't run for office. Go out and say that you don't like to, unless you want to get arrested or get in trouble. But I don't think most people do. But you should do that. And if you're running for an office like Secretary of State, you got to work really hard to make sure you've done everything correctly.
Before we let you go, Mark, obviously Jeff Moore getting the 10%. The law is what it is for now until you guys hopefully win this case. He's got to get 10% for the Libertarians to get primary ballot access. I think he's doing very well. I think Diego's such a flawed candidate and Jeff is such a great candidate that many people are going to cross over and vote for the Libertarian because they want competence and good government. They also want to start holding Republicans accountable. You're going to be one of the guys, and I loved hearing this, that helps the Libertarians, if indeed they get that 10%, prepare for life as a primary ballot candidate.
That's correct. I'm working with the state chair and other people to make the transition. We're looking at what's happening. We're seeing what's happening, and we think there's a good chance we'll be over 10%, and we're not going to be unprepared for it. We're going to be ready for it.
The great Mark Rutherford, an incredible legal mind and a great defender of freedom and liberty. Thank you for a few moments, and good luck on this lawsuit. A lot of people are cheering for you.
Thank you very much.
93 WIBC, it's the Kendall and Casey Show.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel Show, more on the midterm elections. Plus, we'll go off the rails with Rob Kendall. That's at 3 o'clock, 93 WIBC.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
It's a new day because COVID vaccines just got a big update. So all the big stuff coming up this fall? Well, now you can say, you bet I'll be there. Because updated COVID vaccines protect against both the original COVID virus and Omicron. And everyone 5 and older can get one. So this is a moment we've all been waiting for.
Find updated COVID vaccines at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Afraid to look at your financial statements? Shredding them without opening them?
It's time for a second opinion from Edelman Financial Engines. Our opinions aren't based on intuition or daily market movements. They're grounded in institutional rigor, and all of our planners are fiduciaries who put your interest above all others. So if you need help managing the ups and downs of this market, we're ready to talk. At Edelman Financial Engines, you get personalized investment recommendations from a dedicated wealth planner who doesn't sell products to earn commissions. So stop shredding those financial statements. Let's take a look together. It's time to get a second opinion. Get your complimentary wealth checkup where you can discuss your financial goals with a wealth planner. Call Edelman Financial Engines at 888-899-4450. That's 888-899-4450. Or visit efewealthplanners.com.
At Family Dollar, you'll find savings on top of savings. Smart coupon users can save $5 on their next shopping trip by spending $20 on select Charmin, Tide, Bounty, and Downy products. But don't stop there. Check out all the smart coupons on the Family Dollar app to find additional savings. Finally, on Saturday, November 5th, stack on our Saturday Savings Pass, also in smart coupons, for maximum savings on top of savings. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
One of the best things that has happened here in Indy over the past year is the arrival of QC Kinetics. Tony Katz here, and QC Kinetics is giving relief every day to folks here with chronic joint pain. They're using the latest advances in regenerative medicine, so they take the power of your body's own healing properties, right? The blood or plasma, and they concentrate them and apply them to your affected joint. The result can be mind-blowing. These regenerative treatments are designed to repair and restore your damaged joint tissue with no drugs, no surgery, no side effects, no steroids, and no downtime. The success rate is incredible, and they're growing fast. They started with one clinic. Now they have clinics in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and more on the way. Do not continue to live with that nagging joint pain. Discover the all-natural advanced options that we now have access to thanks to QC Kinetics. It's a free consultation. See what your options are. Call QC Kinetics now in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN.
It's Thursday. Sunday's right around the corner, going to be here before you know it. And this Sunday, if you are looking for a new church home or even a first church home, check out Life Church. I've been at the Noblesville campus the past couple Sundays, and man, it is such a great experience. You know, Life Church, that's where friend of the show, Pastor Micah Beckwith, preaches, and Life Church would love to meet you and your family. Life Church has campuses in Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, in addition to online services. Learn more at lifechurchin.com.
We're not saying Brevant Seeds could beat every seed brand out there. We're just saying that a new way of doing things backed by constant innovation, over 100 years of ag experience, science and service, the world's largest library of corn germplasm, and utilizing the expertise that can only come from local ag retail has led Brevant Seeds to average more bushels per acre than the competition every year we've sold seed. That's all. Bucking the status quo. That's the Brevant Seed standard.
You asked, we toasted. That's right, breakfast bagels are back at McDonald's. Wake up with your favorite today, like the steak, egg, and cheese bagel, freshly toasted and topped with a tender, juicy steak patty, a fluffy folded egg, melty American cheese, and grilled onions. Or enjoy other classic combinations like the sausage, egg, and cheese or bacon, egg, and cheese. When you're all finished, you'll be wishing it was morning, all over again. Breakfast hours only at participating McDonald's.
Discover how to save more of your hard-earned money. Listen to WIBC this Saturday from 5 to 6 a.m. for secure retirement tips from Crown Haven Wealth Advisors. This Saturday, 5 to 6 a.m. on WIBC.
It's the Home and Garden Show live from Sullivan Hardware and Garden at 71st and Keystone. Join Pat, Denny, and the gang and kick off the holiday season at Sullivan's with great deals on home decor to help you get ready for the season.
Everything dies, baby, that's a fact.
Good morning. It is 11:47 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. A new poll was released by the Trafalgar Group, and in it revealing that the Republican in the New York gubernatorial race is edging out the incumbent, the Democrat, Kathy Hochul, and this just a few days before Election Day.
Yeah, so you don't ultimately know how the race in New York is going to work out. Creative jelly bean counting, polling could be off, whatever.
Yeah, and we were just reminded that it could take longer to count all the votes.
Yeah, Biden let us know that it could be several days.
Several days. Just take it easy, okay?
But the fact that we're even having this conversation about New York and that there is even a conversation period about the idea of whether New York is going to go Democrat or Republican is incredible. And it shows you just how fed up even people in blue states, because we're having the same conversation in Oregon, are with. Because and these governor's races largely are swinging not on the national mood, but on the dealing with crime. And people are sick. And we tried to make this case during 2020, and we were told, shut up, sit down, you don't understand. This is about more and something bigger than you'll ever understand. I said, no, people are using something as an excuse to behave like thugs and lunatics. And finally, and I guess it took 2 years, which really sucks, but it took 2 years for people to realize, major metropolitan cities who were smashed across this country, that wasn't about racial injustice. That wasn't about righting some wrong. That was about a bunch of maniacs being excused to act like a bunch of thieves and thugs and maniacs. And now voters, even in uber liberal conclaves like New York and Oregon, are saying, you know what? That's probably not a good way to run society. And we have a competitive governor's race in New York.
Yeah. So this latest poll has 48% of voters voting for Lee Zeldin and 47% voting for Kathy Hochul. And she is being blasted for suggesting that the rise in crime is manufactured. She said master manipulators in a national conspiracy and data deniers are what's really happening. It's not actual crime.
Well, and this comes back to the same thing that Biden did, has done, whatever. When people are looking for, and for some reason, and I've never understood this, but they are very lenient in terms of incompetence in their government. But they want to at least be lied to, and you pretending that you're looking into or working hard to overcome the issue at hand. Now, government rarely is, because government doesn't solve problems for the most part. But in this case, the crime is real in New York. We're talking about New York specifically. The crime is real. People know it. They see it. They feel it. And for you to say, well, you're manipulating data. No, I see it right in front of me. When I walk out of Monument Circle, on the rare occasion I do that now, it's everywhere.
I hear it. I hear it on my balcony at night. Gunshots.
It is really telling, though, that places like New York and Oregon are competitive. And I saw now where Real Clear Politics is now predicting Republicans will win 54 seats in the United States Senate. Now, does that mean it'll hold? No. Does that mean it'll happen? No. Does it mean it could be 52? Does it mean it could be 50? You have no idea how they're going to count votes in Philadelphia. You don't know. But people are waking up to what's happened in this country. It's a real shame it took 2.5 years of total destruction of the country, but at least maybe people have finally had enough of it.
Hochul, this is the incumbent in New York, she said it's a GOP conspiracy to convince people crime is rising. And I'm just curious when the next meeting for her and Stacey Abrams is, their conspiracy meetings, because they both like to say that word a lot. It's made up. Okay, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and let's talk about this new study, this research that was released that shows 1 in 5 workers, 20%, have experienced poor treatment in their workplace by their coworkers or their peers due to their political views.
So my dear friend, Dr. Scott Strong, sent me this. He is a professor. He's an incredibly smart guy. Used to do quite a bit of radio stuff with him. He's a really good dude. And he saw this and said, I'd love for you to carry this.
Unpack this one.
This one, because it's kind of in our wheelhouse. And it is interesting that, as you said, Casey, 1 in 5 workers are reporting. Now, it could be either way. It could be conservative to liberal, but I'm sure it's predominantly liberal to conservative, are being mistreated based on their political views. And that is not, it is ridiculous, but it was not surprising. And I was actually somewhat surprised that it is not worse than that.
That it's not higher. One of the findings that they said was over a quarter of U.S. workers, 26%, engage in political discussions with their coworkers, which at this stage in the game, unless you are working here at WIBC, I would feel a lot of people would be scared to talk about their political views at work.
Yeah.
I mean, unless this is somebody that you have known for years and you know where they stand and you know what you can talk with them about, that you wouldn't say anything. 'Cause
Right.
what if you disagree?
Yeah.
That's your employment on the line.
Right. And, it's interesting. My wife just started a new job, and obviously on her resume was that she once worked here.
Yeah.
And so they were asking her about here.
Yeah.
And then very quickly it became apparent
Change the subject.
who here is based on your last name. And so thankfully at her place of employment, people have been very nice and friendly to her. I think a lot of people share her views and our views of the world and our listeners. But there's no doubt, I mean, even for someone like her, she knows she's walking into an environment, not even her views, because she's not openly political, but who your husband's views are.
Exactly. Her association with you.
Right.
That she could get some pushback.
And I've ruined many lives based on their association with me over the years. So that's not new territory for me. But, it is something, and it is pathetic that it's like, look, whether you're liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, independent, libertarian, whatever, if you're paid to do a job and you show up to do a job and you do the job to the best of your ability, your political views should not be punished. You should not be punished for your political views. But sadly, that is the world in which we live, which really does choke off free speech. It really does choke off people's willingness to say, I am this, I believe this. And in this country, you should have no problem saying, I am this and I believe this.
It's interesting because over the past couple of years, there's the saying, the water cooler. And with more people working remotely, the water cooler isn't really a thing anymore. It's becoming less of a thing. But even if you are at a place where there is the proverbial water cooler, you're probably more intimidated to even talk about things because of this.
Yes.
Your water cooler talk is more mundane now.
Yeah. And I have never had a job that was not either I owned the business, I work here, which is expected you will talk about politics.
Right. You're expected to.
Or when I worked for the state, everybody obviously knew what my views were, so it was not whatever. But I cannot imagine having to go into an environment where you cannot or you do not feel comfortable saying what your views are.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And one last story, and let's end on something fun. And Kevin, you should chime in on this one as well. So I came across this article, and it stated muses for popular songs.
Oh, yes.
Of course, the muses, the inspiration. And it was all of these different songs that you've probably heard of, and they're about different people and who the muse was. For example, Madonna's True Blue. That was about Sean Penn.
Oh.
Uptown Girl from Billy Joel.
Christy Brinkley.
Incorrect.
Oh!
It's about Elle McPherson.
What?
That's who he was dating
She
when he
was in
wrote
the video!
song. But then the wife was the one who was in the video. Now, we talked about Krista Berg's Lady in Red. That song was about his wife. Of course, Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven, about his son. And The Boxer from Simon & Garfunkel. That's about Bob Dylan.
There you go.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Kevin. And thank you for listening today. And we hope you'll join us again tomorrow. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hey, Dak Prescott here. Why do I choose proven quality sleep from Sleep Number? Because better sleep